Hopefully this doesn't get taken down. I've had videos taken down. We've been live before. So you try to go live and like, oh no, you're still in our video. Well, we're not reacting. Reactions are allowed. I've read your TOS, YouTube, so relax. We are allowed. Did we get a copyright? You got a copyright. Your stream has been temporarily blocked because we tagged a video belonging to someone else. If the plan continues, please ensure that... Oh, they got a rush? It's like musical chairs. Let's go.
Can I maybe go?
Okay, hello, what's your name?
Juliana.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
Can
you.
we get our terms right first?
Yeah.
Okay, abortion is the forcible ending of the viability of a being in utero, otherwise known as a fetus. Do we agree that's what abortion is?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, great. And then murder is...
I hate people who come in and they're like, did you know that technically a murder, or sorry, technically an abortion is just the removing of, so like any birth is an abortion. Like, shut up. Y'all know what we mean when we say abortion. You don't need to, you don't need to come in and, oh, technically, it's the worst.
Is the intentional taking of life different than killing or sudden death? So murder would be the intent, with intent, taking another life. Do we agree with that?
Okay.
Okay, and then we agree that murder in general in society should be illegal.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So yeah, no, I do want to preface that I'm a Catholic.
Okay.
So I think one really important thing that the Bible...
Yo, you are not. You are not. No, your parents were a Catholic. That drives me nuts. People come in. Oh, I clicked the wrong button. People come in, especially like on my lives, they'll come in, they'll be like, oh, I just want to say, just so you know, I am a Catholic. You're not. You're not a Christian, not a Catholic. Your parents were. And then, therefore, you think you were. Because if you're a Catholic, you have to hold, right? You have to hold to what the magisterium says. And the magisterium says it's murder. Right? If you deny it, you're denying the magisterium. You're going against the church. You're to be corrected or treated as anathema. That's how the church operates. So you can't use that as a catalyst to go, well, technically I'm a Catholic, so I have more validation in what I'm saying here.
Bible says is to not judge. And just going back to the topic, I think there's a big difference between, cells in utero than a living, breathing, existing being. And while I do believe it's murder, and that's just my personal belief, right?
Okay. So far, we're on the good page. We're on a good page here.
I don't believe in telling people what to do with their bodies. That's not up to me, and it's not up to us as well as Christians to judge.
Should we prevent murder in society?
When a majority 11 flags are raised, a new speaker, that's so harsh, bro. You imagine you get up there and 11 flags get raised? I'd be so embarrassed. Like you get taken down. That'd suck. That's harsh. I wouldn't want to do that to people.
For sure, yeah.
It should be illegal.
But I think that it's really different, right? Because, these people aren't...
Sorry, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I don't like that. It's fun. It makes for good entertainment. I don't like it. I wouldn't do that to people. Let people speak. Yo. Hold up. Hold up. Tell me that isn't like so much attitude. So much. Oh my gosh.
Okay, what's your name?
Naima.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, can I just ask, at how many weeks do you think that a fetus is viable?
Well, viability and moral worth are two different things.
No, but I'm asking you, at how many weeks do you think
at about
a fetus
20
is viable?
weeks, a baby can survive outside of utero.
So
It's about 26 weeks, right? Maybe 20 weeks, but on average 26 weeks. You can usually survive, but it's up in the air even at 26 weeks, whether or not you could.
actually 24 to 26
Well, it's
weeks?
20. The youngest ever in a NICU unit actually happened in San Diego, not far from here, and survived at 20 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, well, yeah, there are exceptions, but the normative.
So under Roe v. Wade, 93% of abortions happened in the first 13 weeks of pregnancy. That's 93% of the abortions happened well before a fetus is technically viable
For
as
sure.
a form
so
of life.
Let's go into viability. So what is it about, let's say, a 6-week baby that has a heartbeat, its own DNA, fingerprint, brainwaves, that is less moral worth than an 88-year-old right now with dementia in a home down the street? That person requires assistance, requires help. Why is it that the 6-week baby is of less moral worth?
Well, first of all, it's not a baby, it's a fetus.
Well, what does fetus mean?
A fetus.
I hate that argument. I hate it so much. People go, "Oh, it's not a baby, it's a fetus." I want to slap them. I want to slap them. That's like saying, what was the word that they used for people in Nanking? Trying to remember what it was, but it was equivalent of calling them a log. So it's like people who are like imprisoned in Nanking, they'd be like, "Oh no, it wasn't Nanking. It was Unit 7 something." Somebody will correct me here. Unit 7 something. Anyways, they were like, they're not humans, they're logs. So you can do that. So first of all, they're not a human, they're a log. It's just dehumanizing. It is a human, right? It's just whether or not that human has value. So saying it's not a human, it's a fetus, it doesn't, it's a non-starter. It doesn't go anywhere.
Fetus is in utero.
What does fetus mean in Latin?
What the I'm sorry.
Fetus in Latin means offspring that comes forth. That's what it means.
Is this
It
a
means
language class?
little human being.
Ooh, his smile is very creepy. Okay.
Smiling is creepy.
No, your smile specifically.
Got it.
But let's go back to we're losing track here.
No, but what species is the fetus?
The fetus is not a species yet. It's technically classified as a parasite
No.
until it is
wow.
viable.
So,
now I want to talk to you about something very
I
quickly.
can't let you get past that. Are you saying a baby is a disease or a tumor?
A parasite is not a disease and a tumor. Those are not the same thing. A
Oh,
parasite
parasites.
is defined as something that cannot survive outside of its host.
That's not what a parasite is defined as. That's a part of its definition, but that's not the full definition of a parasite. Should we look that up? Let's do that. Let's define parasite. An organism that lives in or on an organism of another species, its host, and benefits by deriving the nutrients at the other's expense. So that's the definition of a parasite.
A baby, before it is viable, cannot survive outside of a woman's womb.
Got it. So let's
It can't survive outside of the woman's womb without somebody taking care of it either.
extrapolate that.
It is not a living organism.
Are old people with Alzheimer's and dementia that are being assisted every day, are they parasites?
No, they're not parasites. They're human beings who are on the brink of death.
Got it. So
they're not going to be able to survive.
4-month-old that requires mom's breast milk and requires daily changes and feedings cannot survive without its own. Is my 4-month-old a parasite?
Your baby can breathe on its own. Your baby can drink water from its mouth to its stomach.
But it cannot.
Your baby can
it
eat
hunt?
food.
Can it gather? Can it reason?
But that's not what qualifies something as being
okay,
a
so
living
let's-
organism.
then
Being
let's
a
get
living
back to
organism
terms.
simply means can you
That's not what Where is she getting her definitions from, bro?
survive outside of a womb, outside of your host.
Got it.
That's not the definition of a living organism by any means. By any means. Should we define, hold on. Living. Define living. I didn't spell it right. An income of sufficient to live on the means earning it, the pursuit of a life, not that kind of alive living creature. Define alive. Living, not dead, continuing in existence or in use, alert or active or animated, having interest and meaning, aware, interest and response, swarming or teeming with. I think it's trying to use like what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know.
So I just want to make sure I'm clear. Why does that then equate to moral viability?
It equates to scientific viability.
Why? Under what standard?
Because it is not alive, and you are advocating
And the orange flags, they can vote them out if they don't like them.
for the rights of something that is not technically a life,
Got it. So what is it something
while
that has-
sacrificing the needs of the human woman who is alive.
Got it. So, but a mom can survive
Yes.
without the baby in her,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yes.
The baby cannot survive without the mom.
Yes.
But a mom cannot survive without her lungs. So it's not her body, it's in her body. It's not
Yeah,
her
I
DNA,
know.
so it's not her choice. So it's
It actually is directly her DNA.
it's
It is 100%
It's not. It's not. It has its own DNA structure, its own code mixed in from the parents.
It's 50% of her DNA.
half her DNA.
Oh, so the time is the topic. It's not. I thought it was per guest. It's just the topic.
I'll win, I'm telling you. This could take a while.
Oh, hey, it's Dean.
Okay, first of all,
Do we have our terms correct? We agree?
actually no. So first
Okay,
of all,
got
I
it.
would like to refine our terms. I
Got
have
it.
2 points to bring up after that though. So you define murder as like intentionally like killing a human being.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a very poor way to define murder because if someone were to like break into my home and point a gun at the heads of me and everybody I love, and I intentionally kill them to prevent them from killing my family, I don't think I murdered them, right? So I would define murder as the unjustified termination of a human life.
You're making a good point.
That's a W. I agree with Dean there. That's a W.
Let me further clarify that. So self-defense is very warranted.
Exactly, right?
But I can see where you're going to go with how that has to go with abortion, but we can go down that journey in a second.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I kind of do want to give you my argument insofar as why I'm pro-choice, why I think it's justified.
Mm-hmm.
But first, I think that, your position is quite absurd, right? Because you're saying that it is murder to kill a human being, right, at any point in development, especially when it's in the mother's womb. My question to you would be, well, does this make women with IUDs murderers? Because it is the case that in some scenarios, an IUD will allow for conception to occur, meaning there's a unique human life there, but it will prevent its implantation, intentionally killing it.
Yeah. So if there's a form of conception, right? We have a distinct human being, then yeah, I would say that preventing that from happening, the infertilization, then I'd say, yeah, that's a form of murder, 100%.
No, preventing implantation is not necessarily the same thing as terminating a fertilized egg. For
Now, this all depends on the science behind that.
example, if you take Plan B, again, it's not the same thing. Preventing the production of progesterone is not the same thing as terminating a being that has been fertilized. You do not know for a fact that the egg has been fertilized. You do not know that when you have an IUD.
Okay, yeah.
Do you?
So prevent.
Yeah, well, so I see what he's saying, but Charlie's kind of fumbling here. He's fumbling the ball here. If you don't know, then you have to take the principle of caution. You have to assume that it is, and you have to act accordingly, right? You can't just say, well, it might not be, let's throw the dice, right? If you think it's a distinct human being, you have to take the principle of caution, and you have to not kill that human being. You have to let that human being live. So I would say that, if an IUD causes that to happen, and that's not all IUDs, that's hormonal IUDs as far as I remember. I could be wrong on that. If it causes it to happen, it's something that you should not do. Just like I think, and after further research, because I used to be mixed on this, I think Plan B is something that you should not do because of the off chance that it doesn't prevent fertilization. It actually ends an already fertilized egg. So yeah, I say take the principle of caution here.
Fertilization or implantation to the uterine lining is killing a conceived zygote. So what happens? A sperm goes into the egg, right? The egg becomes fertilized. It's a conceived zygote. In some cases, it will prevent the implantation of the conceived zygote, killing the conceived zygote.
In some cases, correct.
So what do you say in some cases, women with IUDs are murderers?
Of course not. They're not murderers. We do not know for a case. That's like saying that.
So what's the difference between?
I'd say it's equivalent to like manslaughter, right? Like if it's something that could kill a human being and you're actively choosing it, then I'd say, yeah, you're committing some sort of, should be, in my opinion, a crime. It's not a crime currently. But yeah, if you're unaware, then that's a whole nother story. Like if you didn't know that could happen and you choose to make that decision, then we obviously react accordingly.
Between an IUD killing a conceived zygote and like a mother going to Planned Parenthood and killing the fetus in her womb.
Well, so you're asking two separate things. If they knew for certain, to be more clear, that I have a fertilized egg and I'm going to take a drug to prevent that fertilized egg from attaching to their uterine wall, then yes, that is an act of killing or murder, of course.
Okay, so do you think all murderers should go to jail?
Do I think all murderers should go to jail? I mean, on third degree murder.
No, every case has to be taken on its own merit, right? And I know people might look at me kind of cockeyed for saying that, but in reality, you have to look at every situation in its own merit. You have to look at motive. You have to look at mental health. You have to look at, why they did it in the first place. There's a lot of things you have to take into account. It's not as simple as should and should not.
Murder. However, no, I don't think women that got abortions or had IUDs should go to jail because I think that they have been deceived by mass culture and mass propaganda. Secondly, the people who should go to jail are the abortionists, who are the ones that have been putting
Fully agree with everything he just said there.
The abortion pill, the ones that have been doing procedures, the ones that have been going into the third trimester and breaking babies' backs and inserting them with syringes while the babies are crying and suffocating, being born
alive. Why they voting Dino? I actually think Dino's doing a great job here.
Alive and then being dead on the operating table. Okay. That is who should go to jail.
Oh.
I think it's because they just want to get in and say their piece, right? I think that was the best conversation so far.
That was actually the best one. What he made.
We'll have to talk about
I know.
that.
Okay, whenever I'm talking about this discussion, I always go to the question of what about in the case of the mother when her life is in danger? Because I'm a big believer. I don't know. I'm still iffy on if I think it's or if it's murder or not. But even so, I mean, I don't want to say murder is justified. Guys, wait, let me just get this one point, and then you can vote me out. Give me 1 second. Say the mother gets pregnant, and she knows that if she gives birth, she's going to die. She has some kind of health complication. Then what do you do in that case?
Section.
I don't know what that means.
It's a C-section. They do an insert.
Guys, wait, hold on. Give me one second.
They go right below the belly button, and they deliver the baby, and after she doesn't have to give birth. It's technically birth, but it's much safer. So that's actually safer than an abortion procedure.
Why'd they vote her out? So these guys are kind of nasty, guys. Like, let people speak. This is not going to get anywhere. I can already tell by watching this now. No, there's going to be no conclusions that come from any conversation because they don't have the ability to formulate the conversation, to navigate all the nuances, to go through like the the analogies on testing their worldviews. Like this is Jerry Springer. This is what's happening here. This isn't. I mean, it's fun. It's hilarious, but we're watching Jerry Springer.
Sorry.
In my opinion, they were able to bottle up how TikTok debates work, but instead of the viewers getting to say on how the debate is going, it's you're not wrong. This is just all they did was watch TikTok debates, and then they came up and they're like, we're going to do that live. That's what's going on here.
Sorry, Lily. Oh, how are you?
Hi.
What's your name?
Deedon.
She
Nice to
had
meet
that.
you. I would say with abortion, I think it's very complicated, but I think the issue that I have primarily with your stance of being pro-life, that there's no nuance.
Do you guys getting leg, or is it just one guy? Let me check. Everything looks good on my end.
There's women who are being forced to travel hundreds of miles to access abortion care, even in cases of rape in certain states that they're not giving any sort of allowance for that. And I think, you know, a lot of people who are pro-life, they say that they're pro-life, but I feel like they're really pro-birth because, with firearms, the United States has some of the highest firearm deaths out of OECD nations, right? And we can acknowledge that that's for children who are actually living and breathing. So I feel like abortion, while it is, I can definitely see your point. I just think that it should be allowed in some circumstances.
Okay,
yeah.
great. I'm happy to get into the gun violence stuff later, but I want to really stay focused on abortion.
Right.
You can say you see my point. Can you see the world also where, since we know it's a human life, that it should be illegal since we don't allow murder in our society?
Well, that's where I have an issue because abortion is not being done willy-nilly. It's like the life of the mother is always.
How many abortions?
Yo, did Buddy just say it's not being done willy-nilly? Hold on. Let me see if I can pull this up. I don't want to accidentally pull up something I shouldn't. So hold on. Let's see. There it is. Okay, he said it was being done willy-nilly. This is this year so far. Look at that. I just want you guys to look at that for a second. It's not being done willy-nilly. That's how many abortions are happening right now. We've got 31 million this year so far. I don't know if this is worldwide. I think it is worldwide. It might just be United States. I'm not too sure. And then look how quickly it's counting. It's going faster than seconds. So saying people are not just doing it, like it's literally happening willy-nilly. Like I saw a video today. It's pretty gross. This girl, she's like doing a TikTok of, she was at who was it? Taylor Swift, I think it was. A Taylor Swift concert. And in that Taylor Swift concert, she's like, I didn't know I was pregnant here. So my child got to go to two heavens. And she was like referring to the fact that her first heaven was a Taylor Swift concert, and then her child got aborted and went to second heaven. Like it is happening willy-nilly, and it's just a joke to some people. Like, hey, we're just killing babies. It's no problem. Yeah, this world is sick. Anyways, let's go.
Abortions do you think we have every day in America? Just guess.
I'm not sure.
Guess.
I'm honestly not sure. Maybe, I don't know, 1,000?
4,000 a day. So
4,000.
it is kind of willy-nilly. We have 1.6.
Goated.
Sorry.
Goated.
Hello.
I just want to clarify, the thing that you're aiming for is less abortion, right? That would be what you would want, or at least no.
No abortion. That's the goal.
Then eventually, it's also a protection of those that can't protect themselves. But yes, and that's why after the reversal of Roe versus Wade, we saw abortions go down dramatically in Texas, Alabama, Mississippi. We saw thousands of babies that are now alive and well. They're able to have
I actually don't know the data on this one. I haven't looked at the statistics on whether or not it's gone up or down.
amazing lives thanks to the reversal of Roe versus Wade.
I don't think a lot of that is true.
Well, it is, but
It's not true because when you make abortion illegal, it doesn't actually decrease the amount of
that's a
abortions
nice
that happen.
talking.
See, I hear this talking point all the time, but the problem is people say, well, they're having the same amount of abortions. They're just having back alley abortions. My question always remains the same. How are you collecting the data for that? They're back alley. Like they're not reporting it. That's the whole point of it is it's unreported. So how do you know that it remains the same or it's even going up? I think that's just I think what he's going to say here, I think that's just a talking point that people say.
Point in Texas, the numbers show differently. The birth rate has gone up.
Yeah, legal goes down, but illegal abortions still happen. Abortions still happen outside of whatever
Yeah, it happens, but how much does it happen?
data you're
That's
showing.
not true, but let's just say well, if you
40?
you want to, well, first of all, if you count the abortion pill, you're right, but that's a separate thing than a chemical abortion and surgical abortion are different things. And I'm not debating.
Guys, we're live on YouTube and Twitch. Links are in the bio if you actually want to see what's going on instead of just hearing the words that are coming out. But yeah, if you want to see it, that's where you're going to go.
I'm not debating you. I'm debating her. So if you want to do the flags and come back in, try and be faster next time. So let me ask you this. So the question is, we should try to limit unjust suffering of human beings, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
That's my position, is that there's unjust suffering of anywhere between 1.4 to 1.6 million abortions a year of human beings that are being massacred in the womb. And so that's not a woman's rights issue. That's not a men's rights issue. That's just a human rights issue.
Okay, the best way to decrease abortions happening is proper sex education. Limiting abortion
Sure.
and making abortion illegal does not actually decrease the amount of
Well,
abortion.
why not both? Why not give proper sex education and make it illegal? Why not do both? And then you really decrease it, like really drop it down. It's a very weird talking point because it's aside the whole factor. It's like saying, you know what we should do? We should make, it's The Purge. You guys ever watch the movie The Purge? Terrible movie. Don't watch it. But in the whole idea from The Purge, and if you don't know, like, come on, let's be honest, you know, but just in case you don't, is once a year people can commit crimes and just kill people. Just bah, we're going to kill them. Well, and that causes for the rest of the year, there's less crimes to happen, right? You don't do that. That's not how we live in our life. That's not the decisions that we should make, right? When you're saying, okay, well, if we allow people to kill their babies, it's going to cause less people to kill their babies. It's literally the purge. That's what you're doing.
Abortions that
So
happen.
what is your evidence of that?
What is my evidence of that?
Because we have
None.
increased sex education the last 30 years.
No, our sex education is so bad in America.
Are you on drugs? Sex education is far better than it was 30 years ago. It's probably not as good as it could be, but it's way better than it was 30 years ago. Are you kidding me?
Well, by bad, what do you mean by that? We have more access to birth control for young kids. We have more kids that are learning to use birth control at a younger age. We have more of that in our public school system, and we've seen all the trends actually go in a negative direction. So, in fact, we see that.
No, we haven't seen Parker's part yet. I'm excited though. I think Parker's going to do great. Dean did great.
The more sex education there is, the more disturbing those trends are. So you say that. Let me ask just one more thing. You say that if we make abortion illegal, people will still do it. Should we then just make gang violence legal because?
No, I'm
people
saying
still
if you
do it?
actually wanted to decrease the amount of abortions that happen, you wouldn't be advocating for to make abortion illegal. You'd be advocating for all
Does
of these
that
other
logic
things.
apply to stealing, looting, kidnapping, arson, and murder?
Well, actually, it does because those are results of different
Okay,
societal
so-
issues
so-
that you should be
got it.
educating
So we
yourself
should
on
make-
rather than making it
so we
illegal
should
at the
make-
front.
So let's make all those things legal. Let's make murder legal. Let's like criminal activity legal, stealing, gang activity. Let's make it all legal and we'll just educate them. But if they go out and do it, there should be no consequences, ladies and gentlemen. You know, if you go kill your own grandma, no consequences because our issue is we didn't educate you, right? And we should advocate for better education. So you killed your own grandma, we'll just sit down and have a conversation. But how are we going to force them to sit down and have a conversation? Isn't that like arresting them? I'm just curious. You can't force them to do it if it's just, never mind, I'm going on a tangent.
Should we make kidnapping, arson, burglary, murder legal because they're symptoms of something else?
We should be helping society heal from
You
those
gotta
things.
answer the question. We want less of those things. Should we just make them legal and we'll get less looting?
You know, actually, I'm gonna let someone else.
Thank you very much.
We'll make you watch a PowerPoint. You killed your own grandma. Here's a 12-point PowerPoint presentation on why you shouldn't do that and it's bad for society.
Hi, Parker. Nice to meet you. Yes.
Nice to meet you, Charlie.
Big TikTok guy here.
So, like,
Oh, he knows him. That's pretty cool.
pedophiles, people who were married to children in the past and normalized in that society, should they go to prison?
Wait, what?
Like, pedophiles, people who were married to children in the past and normalized in that society, should they go to prison?
Should pedophiles?
Like,
go
if you
to
could go
prison?
back in time, would you put those pedophiles in prison
Yeah, we put him through a wood chipper. How about that? I think I know where he's going here, about like how society laws can change and you know, we should look at it per basis. Maybe I should just let him speak.
and marry those children because it was normalized? They were deceived into thinking it's okay. Would you put them in prison?
You got to slow down.
Sorry.
Pedophiles should get the death penalty.
No, so you go back in the past, you give them the death penalty even though they were deceived into thinking it was okay? But you said people who get abortions who are women should
Hold
go
on
to
a second,
prison.
but it's not currently illegal.
Okay, regardless.
pedophilia
At that
is
time,
current.
at that time, it wasn't.
No, I would not go back and retroactively enforce laws where things were currently not
You
illegal.
wouldn't put pedophiles in prison in the past.
Hold on a second. When was it?
Well, no, you would travel in the past and then you would educate them about what they're doing and then you would make it illegal. And then if they continue down that path, then you punish them. That's what you would do. You can't travel in the past and say, well, this wasn't a crime. We're going to put you in jail now for a crime you did not commit, right? You update the knowledge, you update the criminal code, and then you make a decision based off their future actions, not their past actions.
When was it legal in America?
Well, child marriage was legal in America throughout the early 1900s and especially throughout most of society for thousands of years, especially in the Old Testament and in the Bible,
Hold on.
right?
What? Where? Where in the Bible is child marriage legal? I've read through that thing a few times. I've never seen a verse on child marriage. I've never even seen anybody marry a child in the Bible. At all.
Well, hold on a second. So where is the Levitical law that allows you to marry a child?
Oh, yeah.
Can you name the verse?
Well, I can't name the verse, but the particular conditions that are listed in the Bible are that you have to be physical maturity and emotional maturity, which
That's also not in the Bible. There is no conditions in the Bible for marriage. It's just not there. That's not what the Bible spoke about.
extremely vague and throughout society has been seen to be met at puberty.
There is not a verse, but let's kind of go
Okay,
back.
so when is
let's go back
the age
to
of consent
abortion.
under your view?
Let's go back to, well, generally agreed upon is 18 years old. But let me ask you
But you, because you don't go based on what's generally agreed, you go based on the Bible.
I say 18 years old, but let me ask you a question.
The Bible doesn't say, but the Bible says we should not harm others, right? This is hey, I'm actually a fan of Parker, but this is a bad take. The Bible doesn't say that, but it says we shouldn't harm others and says we shouldn't harm children. And then we use wisdom, philosophy, we use, virtue ethics and the knowledge that we have to make that judgment call. And we can see that engaging with the child causes harm. The data is very clear on that. I have lots of papers on that if you guys want to go through it one day. I'd have to pull it up. I think it's on here on my iPad right next to me. But if you guys wanted to, we can go through those papers one day. Anyways, it causes nothing but harm. So we can make that correlation with, like, the scripture says, don't cause harm to people. This causes harm. Therefore, we shouldn't do it. And we pick the age of 18 is because that is the average age when people have completed their puberty process. They're finished now. Now, some people might go a little longer. Some people might go a little shorter. But we have that good number, that round age of like, hey, you've finished all your processes of becoming an adult. Now you can go off and choose to be romantic with somebody if that's your provocative. But again, scripture does not once dictate an age at all.
Where's that in the Bible?
When does life begin?
Conception.
Like conception, great. So good. So should we protect all life at conception?
I care about sentient life, not cellular
So
life.
when do brainwaves start?
Do you think brain dead people should be able to pull the plug on, like family should be able to pull the plug on an individual
Hold on,
and
you
family
gotta
that's brain
answer the
dead?
question. When do brainwaves?
I think I don't think they're going to get to. I think we have to clarify the difference between somebody who's brain dead and somebody who's in a vegetative state, just to be clear. So I'd say that, yes, you can pull the plug on a brain dead person because it's just the brainstem that's active. You don't have all the functions happening. They've actually started their death processes, right? Their body is starting to shut down. You are forcing the body to be alive. You're not allowing it to take its natural processes. If somebody is in a vegetative state, their body's actually alive. It's not dying. As long as you give that body food and water, it will continue to survive. So I think those are two very different things. One is preventing someone's death. The other is not killing someone. I think that's the difference between the two.
When do brainwaves start?
You can see brainwaves around 6 to 8 weeks, which in brain dead individual, there are brainwaves as well. So the brainwaves necessary to produce a subjective experience are met until around 18 to 26 weeks in the womb.
Can you see it from my perspective that at 6 to 8 weeks, those brainwaves will actually increase, not decrease, if allowed the process of development to continue?
Did you know those same EEG scans exist in brain dead people that you don't think are sentient?
But the difference with the brain dead people is that the likelihood of those brainwaves actually increasing is very low. At 6 to 8 weeks, when by 15 weeks they can hear the mom's voice.
It's impossible. It's irreversible sensation. That's what brain death is. I apparently didn't know that.
But no,
it's not coma.
But you're doing a red herring. Go back to 6.
Okay, hold on. He's talking very fast. I'm going to slow it down just for a second because I'm trying to keep up with this. Hopefully, guys, pray that we don't get taken down.
The difference with the brain dead people is that the likelihood of those brain waves actually increasing is very low at 6 to 8 weeks, when by 15 weeks they can hear the mom's voice.
It's impossible. It's irreversible sensation. That's what brain death is. I
Hold on,
didn't know that.
But no,
it's not coma.
But you're doing a red herring. Go back to 6.
No, it's not. What's a red herring?
A red herring is where you avoid the topic and you say something that is adjacent or symmetrical to what I'm saying, but not actually what I'm saying.
You mean a reductio ad absurdum? That's not a red
I don't think you're doing a reductio there, though.
herring.
A 6 to 8 week baby, if they're allowed to continue to develop, what ends up happening?
At a certain point, it will become a sentient being in the future. The same way that if I keep engaging in sex with my girlfriend, there'll be a baby in the future. Yet I don't care about the
unless
sperm.
you're infertile, which we don't know. But so let's see the process of development, right? Why
do you want to answer my question?
Why do you have the ability or the right?
Should those child P3Os go to prison?
The process of
should the pedophiles go to prison?
From 1904. How many pedophiles are alive from 1904?
They're not alive, right? I meant like if you can go back in the past, hypothetically speaking, and you could put them in prison. Would you put them in prison?
I would have killed them myself if I was alive.
Okay, so then you don't apply it based upon what people are deceived to believe. You apply it based upon what you consider to be moral. So the women who had abortions, you think they should go to prison. So why should women who get abortions go to prison?
Look, here's the thing. I'm a fan of Parker. I think he has some phenomenal arguments. I think he does an excellent job. I think he's going to go far in this world. This was a bad take, bro. and I don't know if he's going to see this or not. I think what you're trying to do here is, instead of engaging in the argument, is you're trying to catch him in a gotcha, right? You're trying to get a clip. You're trying to get a moment where it's like, you got Charlie Kirk. And that's what it feels like to me. I don't know what your heart was. I don't know what your goals were, but that's just what it feels like in this moment. And it just seems like you're trying to get him in the gotcha. And I think that's it right here. And it's not really engaging with the conversation. It's not moving the goalpost forward. Maybe I shouldn't have said it like that. It's not moving the conversation forward. We're like, you're a person who genuinely believes this. I know that you think that people should have a choice. I know that's something you genuinely believe. Charlie's a person who genuinely, seems to me, genuinely believes in pro-life. The goal when it's sitting down and having these conversations is to move the conversation forward so we can all come to a conclusion, not to catch somebody in something to make them seem silly or foolish.
Prison, but someone like my mom who told me that Santa Claus exists shouldn't go to prison
because
they're both
This is not going to be a constructive debate if you keep on talking over me.
Well,
right?
I was finishing my statement and you were talking over me, but go for it.
Let me ask you a very simple question. Do you think it would be a good thing if we had less abortions in America?
It depends on the context. Like, are the abortions prior to sentience?
Yes,
because I think
all abortions.
No, it would not be necessarily better unless it is the
abortion?
case that the people didn't want the abortions and it would be negatively impactful to their health medically speaking.
Are you against late-term abortion?
After sentience, yes.
Okay, so you believe in an 8-week abortion ban?
Yeah. No, I don't. Sorry, I believe in an abortion ban after 18 through 26 weeks.
Okay, that's a more reasonable position. I have to give you credit for that.
It's similar to Trump's 15 weeks.
Yeah. So why do you think that most people don't share your view on that?
Well, people just don't really know what sentience is. There's not a lot of conversation about abortion, and these conversations are very difficult. Like,
I don't want to get banned, so I'm going to speed back up again.
I understand why a lot of people don't understand
for sure.
their positions on it.
So
But I think people
you
have
are where most
you're cutting me off.
Americans
I thought we weren't cutting people off.
I was actually complimenting you.
Yeah. I think at that point they were starting to move the conversation forward. Was this recent? This came out like a day ago. So maybe one day they could sit down and have a conversation again and see where it goes, where they can really flush things out, where you don't have a lot of pressure on people watching you. Like, that's a lot, bro. Like, you got Jubilee looking at you. You got 24 other kids looking at you. You're sitting against somebody famous, like really famous. Charlie Kirk's really famous. And you're having that's a lot of pressure. So, like, no judgment at all. Hopefully you guys get to have that conversation again in the future.
How are you? Nice to see you.
So I just have one question. There's, like, in any case, you don't think there's any case where abortion should be legal?
There's a very, very rare couple cases.
Okay, so you do think that a couple cases...
She's coming in hot. She's coming in spicy. She's going to bite his nose off.
It is legal.
If cesarean section is not going to save the mother's life, and the mother's life is actually at risk, which is debated amongst growing numbers of OBGYNs,
okay,
that is the only case where abortion should be allowed. But people say it is a growing consensus in the pro-life world that abortion is never medically necessary.
Okay. So if you had a daughter and she was 10 and she got raped.
Oh my God. It's always that. It's always the people who got that angry look, that one right there, that will use that argument, even though it's like 0.001%. Especially that's very, I'm not even talking just essay, like the circumstance. You had a daughter and this happened, right? It's such a small portion. Not that it doesn't make it important, but it's completely irrelevant to these people's point. Because here's the thing. If we all agreed that SA abortion should be allowed, if everybody on the pro-life side said, SA abortions, let's ban them. Let's throw them out the window. It would not change the post. It's a gotcha question that doesn't do anything, right? It's an emotional question, and it's the only time it's ever used is when somebody is in their emotions. They're not really fully thinking out the arguments.
And she was going to give birth, and she would and she was going to give birth, and she was going to live. Would you want her to go through that and carry her baby?
That's awfully graphic.
Yes, 100%. I would rather have my child do something that is good in this world than perform another evil because an evil was done to them. I think it's better to overcome adversity and like show how you can turn something so horrendous and awful into something so beautiful and great. I have spoken to people. I have literally spoken to people in my lives who, did we get a copyright? You got a copyright. Your stream has been temporarily blocked because we tagged a video belonging to someone else. If the plan continues, please ensure that until we're back up live on YouTube. There we go. YouTube's got to chill with that, man. YouTube's got to chill with that every time. And here's the thing. I see so many other people doing exactly what I'm doing, but every time I go live, I get these, especially with Jubilee videos. I don't know why, but it is what it is. Yeah, Abraham. I'm not breaking any copyright things, but Jubilee's things are like on lock. Anytime I touch Jubilee stuff, I get a copyright thing.
A real life scenario that happens to many people.
The answer is yes, the baby would be delivered.
Oh, okay, great. So that's insane.
But let me tell you why. No, hold on. Let me ask you a question. There's 2 ultrasounds I have. One is a baby conceived in, one is a baby conceived by a loving couple. Which one's which?
Your daughter was probably hopefully conceived by a somewhat loving couple.
He's got a good point. You can't tell the difference.
Which one was conceived by?
You don't know.
Exactly, because it's all human rights.
But
and it's all
that
human
doesn't
beings.
matter. But it's about your daughter who has to give birth to it and is going to be tortured by that for the rest of her life. That's going to take away every freedom she's ever going to have. That's going to ruin her life. She's going to grow.
How is it going to? How do you know it's going to ruin her life? These are a lot of assumptions. You're just assuming a lot of things. Oh, when you pause, take the video off the screen. That's the code to do this. Hey, that's a good point. Hey, you got it. I'm going to do that. We're going to try that, see if that works. Anyways, you can't predict somebody's life. You don't know all the things that are going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen to them. You don't know anything about them. You're just making assumptions that is going to be the worst thing ever. You're just assuming having a child just ruins your life.
Grow up and she's going to be attached to another thing.
The point is how you were conceived is irrelevant to what human rights you get.
But
hold on one second. If a person conceived and walks on the side of the street, it's not like they don't get First Amendment rights or Second Amendment rights.
It's not about that person.
The worst thing to do to the daughter is to then say, hey, we're going to go murder the being inside of you.
They wouldn't even know. Like, listen.
They wouldn't know?
Listen.
But wouldn't it be a better story to say something evil happened and we do something good in the face of evil instead of saying we're going to do evil and then murder the being because we're going to pander to the...
He's right. I'm honestly, I got nothing to add. I'm just pausing because I don't want to get banned.
Evil? No. What makes the West great is that we do good after evil, not evil after evil.
It's not about the being and the cells. It's not about... No, I'm speaking. 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 Thank you. So it's not...
Oh my God. She's such a fun person to be around. A phenomenal human being. A joyous expression of... Did I get banned again? I did. I got banned again. Okay, guys, we're going to end this on YouTube. So everybody come over to Twitch. Links in the bio. We're going to continue there. And yeah, now we'll just be live on Twitch. So again, guys, if you want to keep watching, come over to Twitch. Links in the bio. We're going to keep going now. I'm done complaining. Let's keep going. We can, now that we're on Twitch, we should be fine to just listen to it at normal speed.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the person. No, I'm talking about the person who is dealing with the pregnancy. I am not talking about the cells. I don't care. No, listen. The fetus, the whatever.
No, I don't know who Bryce Crawford
right now
is.
Until it is formed. If there is a 5-year-old child who is pregnant and the baby is 2 weeks in utero, actually they have given birth. There is one.
A 5-year-old. Okay. If the 5-year-old could, I'm just gonna grant this because there are rare circumstances where people can go through puberty at a very, very, very young age. It's extremely rare circumstance. But let's say this extremely rare circumstance happens. So somebody goes through puberty at an extremely young age, and then somehow they end up in a situation where they can end up in that situation where they get pregnant. They're not giving birth. They're dying. That's 100% a death sentence. That's not happening. There's no 5-year-old that's full 9 months giving birth and just they are dying. And I agree with me and Charlie are going to agree on this. And in a situation where your life is on the line, you have the absolute 100% means to defend yourself and keep yourself alive. Hey, what's up, C-Bun? Haven't seen you in a while. How you doing, bro? Guys, we are live on Twitch. Links in the bio. YouTube got banned.
Is that common?
Yes, not common. It's common 5-year-olds get sometimes, and if they get pregnant, I think they should be able to have medical access to something that could save not only just their life, but like their livelihood.
How many, I'm curious.
I hope your daughter lives a very happy life and gets away from you.
Yeah, see, no interest in having a conversation, no interest in changing his mind, no interest in moving the conversation forward. The only thing she wanted to do was be mad and yell. And this guy's applauding her. This guy, ooh, that was a terrible way to represent your point. The only thing that you made me want to do, somebody who disagrees with your point, is not want to talk to you, like at all. And guess what? People like me, we get to vote. Like when you have this kind of reaction to people, when you have the the reaction to get mad and yell at someone and call them a villain and call them a monster and talk down to them and say, hey, I hope your daughter never talks to you again. You are not going to change their mind. And 50%, because we're divided, it's almost 50%. It's something like 63% of people are pro-choice and the other are pro-life. So that's a very close, very neck and neck type of thing. So if you're not moving the needle, you're just going to have them vote against you. And if you think they're taking away your rights, you're actually helping them take away your rights. You're actually pushing them to do that because you're not engaging in the discourse at all. You're just pushing them away. Manji, why would I do that, bro? Why would I do that? I don't even know how to do it on here. Hold on. Give me 2 seconds. Mod you. You should come to Twitch. I'll mod you there. There. I made you a moderator. Boom. I can only have 30 moderators. You're going to have to wait. I'm going to have to remove one. And I don't have time. Remind me later. I'll get you, bro. I'll get you. Oh, what did I just do?
Okay, so that is really nasty. And so her belief system, just so we're clear, is that... Yeah, no, I got it. It's fine. I mean, it's insanely nasty. And
yeah, I got banned off YouTube.
My next claim is that college is a scam.
I'm not going to have any opinions on this one. We might as well just skip it.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
What's your name?
I'm Maddox. How are you doing?
Nice to meet you. Good.
So, college is a scam.
Well, let's define our terms. College being traditional four-year college.
Of course.
University, not community college or technical college.
Of course.
A scam, if we can agree on a definition, is where a majority of people who will go through the institution or business, they're not getting their money's worth or time's worth, and they're being deceived when they sign up. So do we agree on those terms?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Well, what would further definitions, what do you think is the purpose of going to college?
The purpose of college should be a traditional liberal arts education, pursuit of what is good, true, and beautiful.
Okay.
That's not what it is. It should be the betterment of yourself and your soul, nurturing your character, and becoming a better citizen, understanding the deeper things in life. At the very least, though, it should be preparing one for the job market. Do you think college does those things?
I think it does, but I would add on to your point that I think not only is it for the betterment of yourself, but it's for the betterment of society. We need historians. We need certain majors that may not make as much money. I think those are for the betterment of society. Would you agree that there's some majors that may not make money, but are still essential to society?
It depends. Do you think that getting a degree in gender studies is good for society?
I would agree, yeah. Why would studying gender not be good for society?
Well, learning that men can give birth is not exactly a good use
Happy birthday, bro.
of time,
is that what they're teaching in college right now?
Colleges, yeah. According to the Center for Disease Control, they no longer say women can give birth. They say birthing persons.
Okay.
Do you think men can give birth?
Do I think men can give birth? I think that...
yes or no question?
I think that a person who is assigned male at birth, I don't think they can give birth.
Assigned male at birth? So people are not male at birth?
I think that a person...
See, your evidence that college is a scam, my friend.
College is a scam?
You're lacking in a lot of wisdom.
Well, here, we can continue right now. So, gender studies, do you think that studying gender is not essential? Should we not deepen our understanding
of gender? I don't think gender... We're going to get there later.
Well, hold on now. Like, the question you got to ask yourself is, what do you mean when you're studying gender? Like, if it's just like a social concept, then you're studying social concepts. You're not actually studying gender. Are you talking in biology, or are you talking through the social interactions? Because that's two very different things.
Later, I don't think gender exists.
Biology, you're going to get a very straightfortard answer.
I think that there are two sexes, infinite personalities, and no genders. However, let's get back to the core contention.
Well, can I ask my question again real quick?
Well, I want to get back to my core contention. It's a scam. So the majority of kids that go to college, if they end up getting a job at all, they end up getting a job that does not require a college degree.
Do you think that certain...
Yeah, I disagree with Kirk here. I actually think college is important. I think it's a great way for people to be put on tracks and to streamline their life into like a good scenario. Most of the people I know who went to college have some sort of success in their life. Now, that's not everybody, but there's a large portion of people I know who go to college, and that applies to something they're doing in their life, and that's gotten them a home, and that's gotten them a family, and they're able to take care of their family through those means. The people I know who haven't gone to college struggle. I'm one of those people. I didn't go to college. I've been struggling my whole life. It's one of the things I really wish I did. You might go to college and you might not apply your degree to exactly what you're looking for, but those degrees, just having a degree goes a long way. Sometimes when I'm looking at the job market, it just says you need a degree. It doesn't even matter what it's in. It's just like, have a degree and we'll hire you. Right? If you want to substitute teach, you just need a degree. It doesn't matter what it is. You have more opportunities that open up to you. Way more opportunities.
Jobs that may not associate with a direct major can incorporate skills that you learn from a major. I think I'm an econ major, and depending on what job I do in the future, I can still use the skills learned from that.
So tell me about Milton Friedman.
Tell me about Milton Friedman. He is an economist from...
How about Thomas Sowell?
Thomas Sowell.
Ludwig von Mises.
Well, I will say that I'm a first year.
How about
I'd love to see you answer the gender studies question.
We will get there later. That's
Bro's pants. He got that out of the tent section in the store.
That's what psychedelics are for. Who's next?
Well, I think it's difficult to think about just one major, thinking about just gender studies. Like, sure,
You're not interested in conversation. Why are you up here? You're just here to yell at him.
like not everyone should be a gender studies major. We need doctors, we need lawyers, we need everything.
Oh yeah, spending that kind of money on this, on like it's a scam on the money you spend, but it definitely opens doors, and it's like it's a double-edged sword, I guess.
However, why does it matter if 10 people want to be a gender studies major and it matters to them? Like, not everyone can be a lawyer, not everyone can be a doctor. There needs to be some people, and you know what? Yeah, it sucks that some people do go to college and get a degree and then they end up not in a workforce for that. But I don't think that has to do with like college was a scam. It's more like maybe that just wasn't the path for them, or that life choice was just too hard to get for them. But some people are able to go to college and get a degree and use it, and that is super important, because imagine if no doctors went to college, they're just like, I think I can do it.
Well, of course,
like,
doctors and lawyers need credentialing, right? But
So college.
less than 5% of all people that go to college end up studying medicine or in legal. The vast majority go into soft social sciences, communications, or the humanities. So you're in college, or have been, is that correct?
Yeah.
Are you forced to take classes that you think are a waste of time?
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
you know what?
hold on. So they're taking your money and they're forcing you that they're a waste of time. That's kind of scammy, right?
Oh, I think that some classes
Ooh, some. So you have to probably go in debt, right?
depends.
Okay, at least she's engaging in conversation now. At least like she's moving forward, right? It seems like they're meeting each other, in the middle.
Okay. Are you
On
going?
what college you go
into,
to
are you
and-
going into debt?
No.
Okay, well, that's good.
I picked a school that actually offered me a scholarship.
Oh,
and
so
I
someone
picked
else
a
is paying
school
for your
that was good. Oh, I don't know. Depends on me. I mean, that's
No, I'm
a
sorry,
school
that's
that wanted
fine.
to give me an opportunity. But that's not what we're talking about.
Well,
We're
it is.
talking
No, we're
about
talking
is
about the scam element, right? So you
Right.
said that there are some classes that if students had to go into debt or had to pay for,
Right.
would not be a good use of their time. So it's not representing students well.
well, do you think like high school is a scam then? Because I had to pay
Some-
for high
well-
school, but I'm not going to.
High school is a little bit of a scam. It's a little bit of like, yeah, just a touch, not a lot. I think high school is super important. People should go to high school. This is a little bit of a scam. It's just a tiny bit.
Use AP US history in my psychology degree.
Wow, this is boring. Scroll on, my friend. Come back another day. I will entertain you another day. Hey, we're here for other people. Some people like it, some people don't. If it's not for you, God bless you. I love you. Continue on.
Well, I think AP US history is actually a really good use of time, knowing about your country and your history. And
Well, but I'm not
Or are you talking about them? If that wasn't I'm sorry.
going to use that in my career. That's
Well,
what we're
you
talking
use it
about in the
your-
career
your
path
life.
for
Well,
college.
let's go
the
back to
career
what I
path.
said, right? We said traditional college, right?
Okay.
For your college. And what a scam is, where a majority of the
Right.
people that will go through the enterprise, the business, or the institution are not getting their time worth or their money worth.
Weird. Christians aren't a fan of education. Classic. Bro wasn't here 2 minutes ago when I literally said that people should go to college. See, they always trying to get you. They're looking for those moments. They're just looking for them.
So, therefore, I go back to my core contention,
Okay.
which is a majority of kids that exit college will not use their degree at all when they go to find a job.
But if you ask them, do you think college was a scam? I don't think majority of them are going to say yes. Some of them will. Some of them are
Well,
going to
not
be.
everyone who's being scammed actively knows they're being scammed.
But
People
it's
still
not-
buy erectile dysfunction drugs off the internet, and they get
Okay,
scammed.
that's their own
People
like,
still-
personal choice.
people-
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Of course, people have choices to be scammed. I'm not saying they don't have a choice. I'm making an observation analysis of the institution. For example, flying Spirit Airlines, kind of a scam.
Okay.
Should be shut down. There's some, yeah, kind of agree. There are some things in life we have to take a step back and like, oh, the consumer is not being well served.
You want to
And
shut down a bunch of majors
I'm
in
not shutting- I've
colleges
never
that you
said that.
think are scams?
No, I never said that.
So what would your proposal be to
There's-
fix the scam
there
of
is no-
college?
There is no proposal. I'm simply, the contention is college is a scam.
So then what's the point of that statement?
To get you to agree.
But like, what would that do? Like, what do you want to fix
That's
in
not,
college?
no,
That's
I-
going to
I-
help it not be
do-
a scam.
we can get to step interval 2 as long as you can agree that college is a scam.
No, because not for everyone. For me,
Well,
I'm
but a
using a
majority-
degree that's going to help people make better.
What are
help-
you studying?
Psychology and criminal justice.
Okay. So, and it's being paid for by somebody else, which is fine. That's good. So, psychology and criminal justice. Do you absolutely need to get a degree to be able to get into
Yes.
the you do?
I think you need a degree for something like that. Psychology and criminal justice, 100%. I think you need an education. I think the education system's a little funky. I don't think the education that's being provided to a lot of people really works well. I've spoken to people who have degrees in things that I look at and they don't know anything about it. Like nothing. And I'm just very curious, like what you have to do to get a lot of these degrees. Like, did you guys see the video of the girl who was able to pass her college final? I forget what they're called, but her like college final by dancing for 90 minutes. The professor is like, if you dance through the whole thing, I'll give you a passing grade. And it's like, that scares me. Because like, if that's happening in college and people are just being pushed through, then okay, yeah, you got your degree. It's opening doors for you. But then if I go and I go seek a professional, are they actually going to be professional? Are they going to know what they're talking about? Or are they just going to like some person who danced to get the degree? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like, I could, I guess, study it all on my own, but it's just like makes more sense to go and have all these experiences. I'm getting
Canadian,
like wonderful
yes.
experiences, internships all through my college.
So the
that's
only
helping
people that
me
get
go through it.
internships
No,
go to
it's
college?
just that this is a pathway that's really helping me.
So you know there's 11 million jobs open in the country right now that don't require a college degree. Do
Okay,
you
then
think-
the people
let me
who
ask you a
want those
question.
jobs can
McDonald's, Walmart, like truck driver.
go get those jobs.
Do you
I'm not
think
one
we
of those
push
people.
too many kids into college?
Whenever I click on YouTube, it says been terminated due to use of third-party video audio. Yeah, I was banned, bro. So now we are live on Twitch. Link is in my bio. You got to go to Twitch. I got banned off YouTube. What a bunch of plugs.
No.
Okay, so the national graduation
What's up,
rate
Brandy?
is 59%. If I asked the room, everyone would agree that they know some people that went to college that did not graduate,
Yeah.
right? So we're probably sending too many kids into this institution.
But if they might have been able to do it, then like, why is it not worth it to try and
Well,
to
because
push yourself to get a better
they might-
education and
well,
go further in
leaving
your
with debt's
life?
a bad thing, right?
But some people are able to work through that, and it's like
Of course
an
some people are.
opportunity
But
thing.
when
It's
an
like a-
institution is multi-trillion dollars in scale, involves 23 million of our citizens every 4 years, and is not actually bettering the country. For example, if college was so great, we would see incomes going up for Gen Z and millennials. We'd see more people able to own homes. Kids wouldn't.
She had a much better conversation there than she did last time.
I'm telling you, this is so ableist what you're doing, by the way. I'm telling you, right? Hello, what's your name?
Alize.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, so let me start by saying, well, first of all, you said we're sending too many kids to college. Who's sending them? Who's forcing them?
Guidance counselors, parents, community.
Are they forcing them? Are they signing them up
Hold on,
themselves?
forcing. I never said forcing, but you can have nudging. And
Okay.
forcing are two different things. We also subsidize college through the federal government. So you guys get subsidized interest rates,
Right.
scholarships, and loans. So the taxpayer.
They raised the flag. Are you watching and commenting? I shouldn't have this live on TikTok. They raised the red flags to vote people out if they don't like what they're saying.
Is nudging students and gently and sometimes forcibly pushing them into college. And you would agree it is an expectation if you grow up in a upper middle class home to go to college. You would agree with that. So there's a societal cultural push.
I didn't grow up in an upper middle class, so
Okay, well, but would you see it from there? Would you see how that argument is correct?
I guess there might be a pressure, but no one's sending them. You're sending yourself.
Well, of course.
Well, we're
it's-
all over the age of 18, right?
Right,
When
but-
you're in college, so you're,
I mean, she's goated right now. She's right. People are making their own decisions.
you're sending yourself.
It is dehumanizing.
Right.
But that's besides the
But
point.
let's
That's
be
a
honest. I
different
mean, that's a silly argument. Yes, they're technically sending themselves. I was just at Arizona State University move-in. Everyone had their parents there. They were co-signing on loans. They were there helping pay for stuff. Parents, the ones that are still checking in. They're the ones that largely subsidize their lifestyle. Hey, mom, can you Venmo me $3,000 that I can go out an extra night? Yes, of course.
Yeah, but Charlie, here's the thing, bro. Why are parents aren't sending their kids to school because they want them to get scammed? Because they struggled, bro. They struggled through life and they know what a college degree can do for somebody. Like, school is not a bad thing. What's a bad thing is putting in people in school when they don't know what they want to do with their life. But school is a wonderful thing. It's way too freaking expensive. Like, I wanted to go to school for theology and philosophy. And bro, it was like $80,000. And I was like, I got a home to take care of, a wife to take care of. But here's the thing. If I was a kid and I had a family that could support me and I could go do that and pay for it, I would have done it in a heartbeat. Right? In a heartbeat. But like, so yeah, it's too expensive. So there is some scammy. It's a mixed bag. It's a scam, but it's also essential.
And when you're 18 years old, you're the one signing on the dotted line. But there's enormous pressure and nudging and cultural expectation that students go to college.
Right. Okay. I think the problem here is that it's up to the person. You can't just go to college and expect to come out with a degree. You have to put the work in. You have to put the work in. You have to make connections. And some people
I don't agree with that.
people might think college is just 4 years of partying and drinking and making friends, whatever. But you have to actually put the work in. And if you put the work in, you make connections, and you can find a job right outside college.
Well, no, not doubting that you can't find a job. It's just that 52% of them get a job that doesn't require them to get the degree.
But most jobs offer incentive pay if you have a degree. And
But then if
86%
that's the case, then
86% of
if-
people
if-
with a
if
degree
that is
get
true-
paid more than people with
Well,
just a
hold
high
on.
school diploma.
That's only if you count the ones at the top 10% of income earners. So not if you count humanities, not if you count people that study in the social sciences. If you count medicine, you count law, that's absolutely correct. However, the vast majority of kids that go to college are not studying medicine, law, engineering.
What's up,
Business,
Chris? So we're
finance.
live
They're
on
studying
Twitch.
communications,
I
social
got
sciences,
banned off
humanities,
YouTube.
which are on the lower income ladder. So as I mentioned, we have 11 million job openings in this country right now that do not require a college degree. I'm guessing in this room that within 4 to 5 years, you guys would kill to be able to earn $80 to $100,000 a year. Yes? Do you know that in states across the country and in cities, they're offering apprenticeships to become plumbers and welders, electricians? That doesn't require for your college
Right.
degree. Entrance salary, $80,000 a year.
But again, 86% of people with a bachelor's degree earn more
No, I've already
than
told you-
people with a
I've
high school
already
diploma.
told
No,
you.
86% of all people with a
I got
bachelor's
that, but
degree.
if you take out the top 10%, it's actually lower than those that don't go to college. So the reason that number, that average goes up, is because the doctors and the engineers and the lawyers are the ones that bring that average so significantly up. But let me ask you.
That's true. When you're looking at averages, this is like, you guys ever hear, it's like people back in the day used to die at the age of 30. No, they didn't. Right? This is the problem with looking at averages. You say an average and then you just assume people die at 30. You take the average. So this many people die at age 1, this many people die at age 80. The average of that is 30. Right? That's how they figure it out. So it's the same thing here. Same thing here, right? They go like, okay, doctors, lawyers, they're bringing that average up for everybody else. So I see his point. I don't know the data. I haven't looked at it, but I get what he's saying.
A question. That do you think that there's any waste at all in the current college model?
Do I think there's any waste? I don't think we need all of it.
Okay, good. What part?
Well, you have to start with your core classes. And it's like high school. You're taking the same classes in
So do you
high
think,
school.
like, for example, do you think that... Okay, nice to meet you. Thank you.
I'm Emily. Nice to meet you.
Emily. Thank you.
Earlier said that about 5% of college students are going into fields of like medicine, law, and engineering.
Let me clarify.
Okay,
Yes,
yeah.
as far as they are going to be able to get postgraduate degrees. So they will go all the way up and get their Juris Master, or they will end up passing the bar or becoming a doctor, right?
Okay.
So it's easy to say doctors, lawyers,
Yeah.
but healthcare professionals, if you count nurses or people that work in healthcare, that number's closer to 20-25%.
Okay, so 5%. Who here has a doctor? Can you like raise your hand if you have a doctor?
Like a medical
doctor.
None of those people are Canadian. None of them are Canadian. I guarantee you this is 100% an American show. Guarantee you. If you were Canadian, nobody would hand their hand up. Nobody's got a doctor in Canada. We got one doctor for 17 cities. That's how it works here. We got one doctor for half of Canada, another doctor for the other half of Canada, and they are all both on holidays at the exact same time. It's crazy. There's like a whole half a year where you can't see a doctor, and then you gotta book an appointment 17 years out before you can even talk to the doctor. God forbid you got something basic to get out. Like I had to get some wax pulled out of my ear a while back. I went deaf in my right ear. I had so much wax. I had to go to the hospital to get it out, and I had to wait 13 hours just to have a girl stick a water gun in my ear and go pfft, to just get some wax out of it. None of them are Canadian. Guarantee you that. Free healthcare. Amen. Hallelujah. Is free if you can actually see a damn doctor. Sorry, that's my tangent.
Doctor, yeah. Like a medical doctor. Yeah, you do. Okay. 5% is still a lot of people, right?
Of course, but
Yeah.
that means 95% might not need to exist at the institution.
I don't think that's the takeaway. Just because 5%, which is still millions of Americans
Wait,
all
hold on a
across the
second.
board.
But if you were to say, hey, we only have medical schools, only have legal, we can get rid of gender studies, get rid of... So what's the contention?
Well, gender studies is actually, if you look on like the pre-law track, gender studies is a pre-law track. If
Got
you're
it.
going to be a lawyer, you have to study gender studies and other social
That proves
cultural
my point
studies.
that college is a scam.
Why?
Why would a lawyer need to study gender studies? Shouldn't a lawyer know the law?
It's a social science. The law. You think the law isn't inadvertently affected by
The fact that gender studies is social science just blows my mind.
social, cultural, and gender
Of
norms?
course it is, but shouldn't they first know the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, the Federalist Papers?
We learned
you know,
that in high
Marbury-
school.
Okay, so what is Marbury versus Madison?
I haven't been in high school for a really long time. I'm not
I
trying to be
thought
a
you said you
lawyer.
learned it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, high schools are like, it's public high
what was
school.
Brown versus the Board of Education?
That's for desegregating schools.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which Project 2025 wants to like defund the
Right.
Department of
So who
Education.
wrote the
So
Consti-
like
who wrote the Constitution?
founding fathers, 1778. I don't know.
It wasn't 1778.
I don't know. Yeah.
You don't know?
No.
Okay. Well, this is the point: is that you don't learn it in high school. You don't even learn it in undergraduate, and our law school's not learning it. So maybe.
Well, I'm not in law school.
No, the point is that you were saying they already learned it, and they don't. I don't want this to be a pop quiz or trivia.
Guys, we're live on Twitch because we got banned on YouTube. Links in my bio.
I didn't go to college, and I'm asking you very basic civic questions, and you're paying to go to college, and you can't answer them.
That's so fair, but I think
Thank you. Sorry.
Bro, tackled him. Oh, Parker's going to stay. You tackled him, Parker, and you stole his chair. Ain't no way. Ain't no way.
Question: is church a scam?
No, because church is honoring the divine and the eternal and the good and the true and the beautiful. Is college?
But it deceives people because you give a promise of
hold on.
everlasting life, which you don't actually get because Christianity is contradictory logically speaking.
Do you want
Oh, my God. It's not moving the conversation forward, bro. You're trying to get a gotcha. Right? He believes it's fully true to his core. He might not know those. Anyway, I'm gonna let him do this.
want to get into a theological debate, or are we going to talk
Absolutely.
about college? Because I completely disagree. Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, and we will have eternal life.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Okay, so how, if there is a perfect being that created the world, how could we exist in an imperfect world?
I'm
an
happy to
imperfect
have this
creation?
discussion. Can we go back to college, though? Because do you think, because that's a little bit of a red herring and a little bit of a rabbit hole?
It's 100%. This one's a red herring, bro. This one's a red herring. Full on red herring. You're not pushing the conversation. The conversation here is college a scam, right? That doesn't mean church is or is not a scam. Church could be a scam, right? You could have that conversation. You can prove church is a scam. you're not on TikTok right now. You do a great job, but this was a bad move. That was a bad move.
Tell me what that has to do with college being a scam.
Well, I do think college can be a scam for certain people. I don't think it's a scam for everyone. So for people like me, college was very beneficial for me.
For sure. But who is it a scam?
I'm asking you, based on your definition of a scam, do you consider the Christian church a scam?
Of course not. It's giving people eternal life and teaches them
But
goodness.
if Christianity is false, then that's a deception.
Okay, but you think it's false. I don't. We can agree to disagree. Also,
I'm not agreeing to disagree on that.
But we're not talking about the church. We're talking about college, right? So again, also people are not paying to go to church.
You okay, baby? What?
I just heard you yelling.
Sorry, you can close my door.
Okay.
I woke my wife up yelling. I feel so bad. The audio is sped up. Yeah, I'm trying not to get banned, and I'm also trying to get to bed at a decent time tonight. This guy feels like how I feel with this. It's like that's not the conversation that he's there to have. And even if you could, here's the problem. If you could prove that the afterlife isn't real and the Christian God actually isn't real, that still wouldn't prove church is a scam, because church could still apply so many benefits, and it also operates as a non-profit. Everything is by donation. You can attend a church without giving money. You could just go to all of them. None of them require you to pay any money to get into it. So you can show up and get all the benefits of community, of worship, of prayer, of meditation, mindfulness, all those things that happen in church. You know, statistically, the data is clear. You know, people who attend church generally seem to have more happy, more fulfilling lives. So you can get all those benefits, even if there was no afterlife, there was no God, and not pay a penny. So you're trying to get a gotcha and trying to get a clip, and we can see it. It's not a good look.
Church,
but it's a reductio ad absurdum. You know what that is?
Ask the question.
What's a reductio ad absurdum?
That's a Latin term that means reducing down to the lowest common belief, correct?
Yeah, so I'm taking
Am I right? I didn't go to college. I knew that.
I'm taking your particular position.
Let me ask you a question without you interrupting me. Do you pay to go to church?
No, I don't. Some people don't. They're forced to pay based upon their particular...
Nobody's forced to pay to go to church. Nobody's forced to go to pay. Hold on. Let me
ask you a question without you interrupting me. Do you pay to go to church?
No, I don't. Some people don't. They're forced to pay based upon their particular denomination.
And today, do you pay to go to church?
There's no denomination. I don't know of it. Can anybody in the chat tell me of a single denomination that forces you to, like, you are required to pay? There's some that will pressure you. Maybe they'll be like, okay, you should pray or you should pay. Like, here's a certain amount of tithe that you should. The Church of Scientology. You did not say that, bro. Well, guys, we are live on Twitch. Links in the bio.
Church?
Non-denomination. I haven't been to a single church. Not one. I don't think that's true.
Depending on the church.
No, you don't. Do you have to go to debt to go to church?
In some circumstances, people do, because they have to
No.
give up 10% of their income to be able to do that, which people can't afford.
Circumstance?
Well,
You don't give. I think he's just making things up now. You don't go into debt into the church. You give 10% of your means, not your income, of your means, right? So what you have, what God has given to you, the first is given to God, 10%, right? Like if you go into like what I think it was either Orthodox or Catholic, one of the two. Like the requirement from them is not even 10%. It's just give within your means. That's all they say. So this is a full-on cap.
Or LDS. You understand that a lot of LDS churches specifically require 10%.
Yeah, they don't require it.
I don't know anything about LDS, but I don't consider LDS a Christian church.
And what you're
They
talking
do in
about,
plenty of places.
well, you're asking mainline Christian.
Isn't there stigmatization
belief.
if you don't do that?
Okay, you're good at interrupting, not good at answering.
Well, you haven't answered any of my questions yet.
I did say no. Church is not a scam. Church is the bride of Christ. College is a scam, and college is people are going into debt. They're paying a lot of money. But I want to ask you a question. You said it's a scam for some people. Who's it a scam for?
Yeah, for people who specifically aren't ever going to use it, never use any of the knowledge
So
that they retain
52%.
from it. Well, you say 52%. I don't think you can qualify 52% of people don't do that.
What number would you say?
For example, my job, that's not going to be recommended as an economics degree. Most economics majors are going to go into TikTok debating online. But I use the information that I learned in college in my job on a daily basis. I still use relevant qualities that are then used in my job later on.
What percentage of kids that go to college are being scammed?
I don't think anyone knows that. Because it's dependent upon an individual. I have no clue.
Shouldn't we try to find out?
Oh, if you'd like to find some empirics on that, I'd love to see it.
I just did. So 41%.
That's not a source.
Well, the Department of Education is a source.
No, the Department of Education doesn't say 41% of people it was a scam for, or that they didn't use any of the information they learned in college.
You are using.
So are you saying none of them use any of the information?
Can I say 3 words without you interrupting me?
Do any of them use the information later on?
Can I say 5 words without interrupting
Well, you've
me?
interrupted me multiple times.
So since You say college is a scam for some people. It's a ballpark. For the kids that do not graduate, 41% that ended up going and not graduating, were they scammed?
No, just because you go and pay for a particular thing, but then you don't follow through with it, doesn't mean you were scammed.
Maybe they were
You
misled.
decided to pay for it. Oh, you could say some people are misled.
Do you
Some
think
people are
that every-
stigmatized into these things.
do you think
but
that every-
some people are misled in the church.
Do you
And
think-
you never answered.
Why do you keep going back to the church, bro? Well, wait, it makes no sense at all. Yeah, John, 1.5 speed when Parker speaks is a crime. I'm sorry. It is a crime. I don't know why you keep going back to the church. It has nothing to do with the conversation. It just seems like at this point in both those conversations you had, you just have a vendetta against Christianity. That's what it feels like at this point. It's not even the topic. It's because he's a Christian and you're like, I'm going to get him on the Christian stuff. And it might be to do with the fact that you've just dealt with a lot of Christians on TikTok. I don't know. But this is very weird.
My question on that, because you're trying to
I did.
take that time down so that you don't have to answer the question about Christianity, because you know your worldview looks terrible.
Well, what about Christianity do you want me to answer? We're
Well, I
talking
think it's
about
false. Or because I was saying,
Okay.
is church.
I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to segue into that that problem of evil that's been very popular on TikTok lately. And because it just seems to be the crutch. It's like when Dean had his conversation with Theus Brooks. That was the only thing that he could bring up in the topic, was just that one specific problem of evil, like it's a defeater. And I don't think it's that strong of an argument, but we can go into that another day because, yeah, I don't know. This just is a very odd conversation.
Church is a scam. If church is a scam, that'd be predicated off of the idea that you're deceived into believing that there's everlasting life.
Okay, but you
specifically from
believe that
Christianity.
again.
So
this-
Christianity has
Again, you can be deceived into believing there's everlasting life, but that doesn't mean church is a scam if you get all those benefits out of it and you don't have to pay anything.
to be true. So can you grant that? What's the argument?
Christianity is true. Did the
What's the
resurrection?
argument?
You're going to let me finish 3 words in a row?
Appreciate it.
Okay. Did the resurrection happen?
I don't think the resurrection occurred.
Okay, I disagree.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. A perfect creator, is it possible for them to not desire something imperfect?
Is a perfect creator? I'm sorry. What?
There's a perfect creator that desires everything that's just perfect. How can they desire something imperfect, flawed?
Well, because maybe.
Well, here's the problem with that statement is now you have to define what perfection is. And you have to do it from an eternal critique on the Christian worldview. Because when we're looking at perfection, it's something that it's in its perfect state of being, which means it is how it was meant to be, right? When we say like, what's a good example? You know, you could have a perfect fish. Okay, here's what I'm going to say. You can have a perfect fish, right? The fish swims perfectly, operates in the water perfectly. You take that fish out of the water, you throw it in a tree, it can't climb the tree. Would you say now that fish is imperfect? No, it's operating outside of its intended design, out of its intended creation. But inside the water, it could have absolute perfection in the way it's operating there. So I'm just very curious on how we would define perfection when we say, could the creator desire something that's imperfect? Because he could have his creation. It could be perfect, as in it was exactly the way it was intended to be. And with it being exactly the way it was intended to be, it could have free will. And free will, having absolute free will, has a natural consequence of introducing evil into it and therefore falling away from perfection. If perfection is you just cannot make mistakes, well, I disagree with that definition.
Maybe they want to get to know themselves. Maybe they want to see their own creation. Maybe they love
They
their
want to
creation.
get to know them?
Can I
They're
finish?
all-knowing.
Can I finish? Can I finish talking here? Okay. Maybe because God loved the world so much that his creation, which rebelled against him, given agency and free will, rebelled against them, then got eternal life, what we actually deserve, and then sent his son on a rescue mission to save us from that. The church is the bride of Christ, will save us from damnation that we deserve. College is far from the bride of America. It's currently scamming the youth of this country and sending them into oblivion.
What is that definition, Toning? I'm very curious. Can you post it?
Didn't answer the question.
I did.
No, you didn't say how we could desire something imperfect.
Well, God can
We'll talk
do
about
anything.
that later. Don't
God
worry.
can do anything, so.
Oh, even something logically contradictory?
No, it's not logically contradictory.
To desire something imperfect?
Can an unstoppable object hit a immutable force?
Hey, before we go any further, we want to take Arrow News. It's in the middle with Align Media. The pitch super channels to it.
Trans women are not women.
We trying to get banned today? Are we trying to get banned? We trying to get banned? Yeah, we're trying to get banned. Oh, bro. Yeah, I get banned. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Okay. What's your name?
Sam.
Nice to meet you. Let's define our terms. A woman is an adult female with XX chromosomes. You tell me what is a woman.
I disagree with that definition. I think a woman is somebody who is ordered towards impregnation. Right? That's what I think a woman is. And that usually will include XX chromosomes. And then a male would be somebody who's ordered to impregnating. Right? That is their ordered state. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to be able to be impregnated or have to be able to impregnate. It just means that's your ordered state. You can be in a disordered state, right? So, for example, if we have a rose and it grows its petals and it has its thorns, then we have something, it's a rose and it's in its ordered state. If it grows and it doesn't grow its petals, it's still a rose. It's in a disordered state. It has something that's taken away from its natural processes. And so that would be my definition.
A woman is somebody who identifies as a woman.
Got it. So that's not a definition. That's like saying a table is something that identifies as a table. Give me an objective definition.
No, it's not. A table is an object.
Well,
a table can't identify as anything. It doesn't have choice.
You have to give me an objective definition of what a woman is.
If I decided right now that I wanted to identify as a woman, I would be a woman.
I'm definitely not non-denominational, guys. Or are you talking about him? What's his denomination? Because I'm not non-denom.
Okay, but that doesn't answer the question.
I know, but right now I'm a man, right? So if that happened right now, I'd be a woman.
So
once a person makes the decision to identify as a woman, they're a woman.
That's a separate issue. What is a woman?
That's the definition.
No, I know, but you have to tell me what.
A person who identifies themselves as a woman.
But how do you know that they are that thing?
How do I don't need to know what they are. I can ask them if I want to know.
But there needs to be, you need to tell me what that thing is, though.
But I don't like that definition. It's just somebody, okay, well, I identify as a Sprite can. Am I now a Sprite can? If not, why? Probably because I don't share the same ontology as a Sprite can, right? So if we say I identify as a woman, well, you just say yes. Well, then what is the definition of that? What is the ontology of a woman? And if you're identifying as it, and it's just a woman, it's just arbitrary, well, then you're identifying as nothing. You're not identifying as anything. You're just using a word. You just like the word. You like the sound of the word, and you put it on you. Because it doesn't have any meaning. There's no value to it. It's the problem of the one and the many, right? I don't know if anybody's familiar with the problem of the one and the many, but if you have something that is singular by itself that has no definition, it's chaotic. It makes no sense. If you have many things that don't confine to one thing, it's chaotic. It doesn't make any sense. Everything is built off of one thing that has many things that define it, right? So if it's just woman with no ontological properties, then it's meaningless. It has no definition. It's chaotic. Right? It's a logical contradiction.
Somebody who... Okay, sorry, we're not getting anywhere.
No, it's important because it's like saying a giraffe is a thing that looks like a giraffe, or a coyote is a thing that looks like a coyote. It's called circular reasoning. You have to give me a actual definition.
I don't have to... I did give you a definition.
No, you said that a woman is something that thinks they're a woman.
It is circular reasoning by definition. You are using the conclusion as your answer.
That doesn't give me a definition. That's simply...
What would you consider a definition then?
An adult female with XX
No.
chromosomes.
I mean, like, what makes that a definition?
Hello.
Hi.
Juliana?
Juliana, yeah.
Okay.
I don't necessarily think that you can define...
Yeah, I do got to give props to Parker for his grind, though. Like, trying to get onto that chair and do his stuff and say his thing, that's a grind. That's a hustle, and you have to respect the hustle.
Define a woman just by her chromosomes. Women are so much more than...
Twitch is just better, bro. The only problem is more people got YouTube accounts. And I can remake content and put it back up on YouTube. But Twitch is just better. Better quality, better platform. Like... For live, it's the way to go. Now you all need to make Twitch accounts because this is where we're going to be from now on because I'm always getting banned off YouTube.
And that they come in a variety of shapes, sizes, colors. And I don't necessarily think that you can count out somebody who's trans just because they don't have a certain set of chromosomes. There are also people who are born, I'm drawing a blank.
Okay.
Intersex.
Yes,
XXY or YYX.
Or just, or like X0 with nothing.
So natural mutations upon the binary, essentially, right?
Yes. So,
but they don't have both sex organs that both operate, right?
Yeah, but...
Abraham, you're savage for that one.
That also I don't think necessarily works, right? Because if it's X...
Krista, get your butt on Twitch. What are you doing? Chilling on TikTok. Get out of here.
There's X and there's a...
So you're either more male or more female, right? So you might have both a penis and a vagina, but there's never been a case of someone who can impregnate themselves.
Okay. I also don't necessarily think that works.
And this is the problem with the XX chromosome definition, because if you use the XX chromosome definition, it changes when somebody has an XXY or XXYY, I think it is. And usually here's the problem is those people are still ordered to a specific genome. Their order just usually changes, like they end up with more pimples or extra tall or things like that. It usually doesn't mix the two genders together.
Works for this situation, but I also
That's the best part about YouTube. You can rewind if you miss something. It is what it is.
want to say that one of my best friends is trans, and I would say that she's more of a woman than I am. I think that women define themselves by multiple things, not just their sex organs. If somebody asked me who I was as a woman, I would not say I have a vagina.
Totally fair. So no, I think you said something smart. So you said that person is more of a woman than you are. Therefore, you're grading off a definition of something accomplishes womanhood. What is that?
I think it's, well, that's the thing too, and I do think that gets a little complicated, right? Because there are social norms for a gender, but I do think we try to break that, right?
No, for sure. But you said that specific friend is more of a woman than you are. Why?
It's a great question.
I think she's a better person than me. I think she lives
women are
life.
better people?
She's a better woman than I am. I'm not saying women are better people.
But what makes a woman a woman? Because you said she's more of a woman than you are. So I want to know what that definition is.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna let somebody else go. Thank you.
She got caught. Ooh, there's something about her that just like, just like snooty looking.
Okay.
Raw. All right, bro. Third time's the charm. Let's see the redemption arc.
All right, Parker, what is a woman?
A woman is an adult human person that has a desire to be in accordance with a particular set of social and cultural norms that are typically associated with the female sex.
Got it.
All right. Okay. Hold on. We're gonna slow this down because bro speaks at 7 million miles per second.
Define a man. Define a man.
You're looking at one XY chromosomes in a.
Okay, but does God the Father have XY chromosomes?
Bro. Ah! He can't. It's like crack for him. It's like crack. There ain't no way. Ain't no way. Like 2 seconds into this conversation, you immediately back to Christianity. Okay, you got beef with Christians, right? Like, that's not what you're on here for. The subject is not, the title is liberal versus conservative. It's not Christian versus the woke mob. Bro, he really wants to put it into that pocket.
Prior to incarnation?
We literally have a religious topic
He's a father and he's him, but he's not
He's saying, we got a religious topic later. Listen.
Prior to incarnation?
We literally have a religious topic
He's a father and he's him, but he's not a man?
We have a religious
Wait, so
later.
a man is someone with XY chromosomes, but he doesn't have XY chromosomes, yet he's still a man and he still uses preferred pronouns?
It's actually very interesting. In the original Hebrew, Adonai, do you know what Adonai is? It's the Hebrew word
Adonai is God. Hold on. Let's see if Charlie Kirk gets this.
for God. It's actually genderless, but in the scriptures, they use he,
Yeah.
right? And they use the masculine. Jesus Christ came to earth as a man, not as a woman, not as genderqueer. But let's go back to the...
But God the Father's a man, right? Because all fathers are men.
Well, first of all, there's a trinity. So God the Father is neither man nor woman. He is omniscient, omnipotent. He is all being on top of it.
So why do you use he?
Well, I did not. The scriptures do. You could use woman. You could say her. You could use him. But the way that the language...
And so here's the thing. If you look at the Holy Spirit, that's roach, right? And that's a feminine term, right? This is anthropomorphizing something that isn't us. It isn't human. It doesn't share our ontology. It's something different, right? It transcends that. And these words, these pronouns are given to us so we can anthropomorphize God and we can meet him on some sort of level and have that conversation, right? So it's talking about the roles. And I see where you're going because it's like God the Father has certain male roles. So we can all have certain male and female roles. Even if we don't share these things, we can perform in those gender roles. And I agree. I actually do agree. Gender roles are very different than gender. Very different. I agree there's a problem with gender roles in society. It should be more open. I 100% agree with that, but that doesn't change your overall sex or gender by any means. But yeah, it's just using, like, the rhetorical goal of using pronouns with God is just so we can meet him on a certain level. It's not a descriptive nature of his ontology.
is structured. Again, it is so God the Father is so above gender. It is so above any of
This video is an hour and 30 minutes long. We are 45 minutes in. We might not go through the whole thing though.
our understanding.
Then why use
with
him?
Glory and understanding. Again, because you have to make a choice, either him or her in the original scriptures. Let's go back to. I'm happy
some
to get into
fathers
that,
aren't men and boys.
So I'm.
So some fathers are not men and boys.
This is not a gotcha that you think it is, bro. And it's not the conversation by any means. This is a really bad look. And I'm kind of disappointed because, like I said, I like Parker. I think he does an excellent job on his channel. I think he does really well in his debates. I think he's a smart guy. But this video has just been a bad look for him so far.
Boys, not men or boys.
I'm sorry.
Some fathers are not male.
When do I think we'll be done? Why are you guys bored? You guys can leave anytime. It's, you don't have to stick around for me.
Wait, so God the Father's a male?
Hold on, God the Father. So where do we get God the Father from? What Greek word?
From your scripture.
Well, from Abba, right, which is a very close personal term.
You're not answering my questions, and you're bringing up random language that doesn't matter.
Well, it actually does.
No,
okay?
it doesn't.
But let me get down to
It very much matters because language in ancient terms did not operate in the same way it operates now, right? So they'd interact in different ways. They'd have conversations in different ways. Certain words would have different meaning, right? Like if you go to Hebrew and you go to a lot of the Greek, but if you go to the ancient Hebrew, almost every word has some sort of masculine or feminine association with it, right? Like women are going to hate me for this one, but the word for evil, like the word that's used for evil and bad is specifically associated with femininity. I'm sorry, it is. It's just what it is. I'm not saying nothing. But it is, right? It's just how the language works.
the root of it
because he's not a man. You know he's not a man under your worldview. You still use his preferred pronouns. You still call him a man.
Christ is a
You
man.
don't do that with trans people because you're transphobic. That's why.
Okay, got it. But Christ is a man. I'm happy to get into the sexuality and
Before
gender
incarnation, he's not.
of the Trinity. Okay.
Before incarnation,
Okay.
there's no penis. There's no XY chromosomes. There's no
Well,
small
hold on a
gametes.
second. Let's think about it. If that's correct, how is it then Jacob saw the face of God?
Okay, so if there's
hold on. If there was
Now Kirk is messing up too because he didn't actually see the face of God, bro.
not before the incarnation, how did Jacob see the face of God? How did Jacob wrestle with God?
Characters can have faces without biology.
How did Jacob wrestle with God?
So okay, do you think that he has a body?
Well,
or was that a figurative notion of wrestle?
That's a mystery of the scriptures. I'm not here.
Well, here's the thing though. God in the garden, right? God, when he showed up to Abraham, right? He took on a form. And what was that form? It was a masculine form. Right? That was a feature. So every time God has entered into his creation, what did he take? He took on the masculine form. So there is no issue with associating the masculine pronouns with God because he took on the masculine form.
Well, it is. I'm not here to debate theology. Can we go back to what we're
Wait,
talking
does he
about?
actually have biology? You keep trying to pivot because you know this debunk.
You're pivoting. He's not pivoting. You're pivoting. You're not even on the topic.
You.
Well,
What biology does your God have?
Well, the one of Christ our Lord.
No, I meant
right?
before incarnation.
Well, to be honest, I don't quite know, and I
You
don't
don't
think
know?
the scriptures
So
are.
you don't know what a man is?
Well,
You can't define what a man is?
It's a little opaque. Again, you're looking at a man.
But your video,
God-
the largest video on TikTok is what is a woman? 20 million views. But you don't know what a
Yes.
man is under your own worldview.
I said you're looking at a man, right?
Wait, but
Am I
God
looking
the
at a
Father
man?
doesn't meet that criteria.
Am I looking at a
Yes,
man?
you are.
Okay, good. Just making
A
sure.
man that's beating you in a debate right now.
Okay, that's fine.
Bro, this is such a bad look. This is not like... And this is what's happened too. This is like a big thing with like the TikTok debate platforms that's kind of grossed me out lately, is that it has no interest in the conversations. No interest in trying to actually come to conclusions. It's become UFC of conversation, right? It's about, can I step into the ring with this guy and make him look bad so that everyone looks at me and praises me and I get the reward of more followers, more likes, and more money, right? That's exactly right, Abraham. It's all just looking for that clip. Looking for that moment where you can catch somebody. And hey, look, I'm not the best at it, right? Sometimes I'm debating people and I can get a little snarky too. I'm just as sinful as everybody else. But at least my goal in my heart is to change minds and change hearts and actually have those conversations. Like, look, here's the thing. I am somebody completely disagrees with Parker on almost every viewpoint. I have respect for him and his knowledge and his platform and what he's done. But this video makes me not want to engage in conversation in the future. Because like all I'm going to think about is like, if I have a conversation with this guy, is the only thing he's going to be doing is looking for a clip from me to post it on something. And so my viewpoint is not going to change, right? Because now it's combative and it's not, you know what I mean?
Fine. So let me ask you a question though. So do you think that anybody
Pivot.
can become a woman?
I think that anyone who meets my criteria is a woman.
What's your criteria again?
Again, adult human person that has a desire to be in accordance with a particular set of social and cultural norms that are typically associated with the female sex.
Can society ever be wrong?
Sure, but like it's a desire to be in accordance with a set of social and cultural norms.
Can I become black if I wear blackface?
No, because it's not a desire that you have to be in accordance with a particular set of social and cultural norms.
Wants to be black?
Because race is defined phenotypically based upon the expression to other people.
But you're.
Whoa, hold up though. What is that word phenotypically? Let's still got that abortion counter going on. Define. How do you spell that? Enotypically. Phenotypically. Phenotypically, is that what he said? Is he saying that black people have a different genotype? I might be misunderstanding the definition here. The set of observable characteristics of an individual resulting from the interactions of its genotype with the environment. How are we defining genotype? Yeah, so if you're saying that black people have a different genotype than white people, it's pretty racist. I don't think that's what he's saying, though, by any means. Yeah, but Charlie's got a point. Like, why can't you identify as a black person?
By some standard, you're judging that.
Do you think there's a phenotypical expression of someone who's white and someone who's black? Like, I see you're white because
maybe I'm misunderstanding the word, but just that quick search up, hey.
Your phenotypical expression.
Right. So, but do you think, but Rachel Dolezal that said she is black and culture.
Phenotype is what you see. Genotype is the actual genetic makeup of it. Okay. Well, fair enough. Then I misunderstood.
Culturally black. Is she black?
Does she have phenotypically characteristics we would associate
Define
with people
phenotypical. I'm not sure what that word means.
Phenotype, it's going to be the expression.
So
of
melanin content, one skin.
But the problem with that is, are you going to say that people who have a black parent and a white parent, they come out looking white, that they're no longer a black person? They don't share in that culture? You know, they don't have any sort of the repercussions of, because here's something that people might disagree with me on, is I do actually believe in systemic racism. I do believe that to a certain extent, because we've had so much white power in the past that obviously there's going to be some trickle down effect. So are we going to say that those people who had that trickle down effect had that, because they're going to agree with me on this one, liberals, right? Are you going to say that they are no longer black because their phenotypical appearance is different?
Yes.
Okay. So she could pass as a black person.
Wait, so she doesn't have the melanin content?
She's borderline.
No?
Heavily.
Okay, so then she's not black.
Okay, so you're able to say who is black and not black?
That's how we define it in society. No shit.
Okay, got it. So, but is there an objective definition of who is black?
Wait, language is all subjective. Linguistics professionals indicate it's subjective.
Language is all subjective?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
Every
really?
word you just used was created by other human beings that are engaging in conversation.
No, now
that's correct. Language is subjective, 100%. But here's a crazy concept that most people don't know. We actually don't know how language is invented. We have assumptions. There's some logical problems with like language coming into fruition that we're not going to get into now, because for one, I don't fully understand when I read it. But if I ever do, I'll talk about it. But yeah, the language itself is subjective. The sound that comes out of my face can change the representation, but the sounds that come out of my face represent something, and the something that is representing usually is an objective truth. So for example, if I say that this is black, right, the word black can change. That can be subjective, but the representation of this thing, that's an objective thing. The color, that's the objective color of what it is.
You might think it's created by God, but even then it's still subjective.
But now we're getting somewhere.
God's a subject.
Now we're getting somewhere. Is
Bro
the
really
word
wants to get
and
on
the
that God
value
topic.
behind murder objective or subjective?
Well, I think morality is subjective. But you think it's subjective
it is.
too?
So,
Because it comes
hold on.
from God.
That's interesting.
Wait,
So-
does it come from God or independent of?
Dude, shut up about God. Like, he's gonna get into that. Then you can do it.
God.
Well, no, of course it comes from God. It's
If
transcendent.
that's true,
it's
that's
transcendent
subjective.
human beings.
That's
Good night, Dean.
subjective. Yes, it is. If it comes from God, it's specifically subjective. If it comes independent of God, then it's objective.
No,
what
it's
you just told me is
God-
It doesn't have to be those two things, right? You're assuming, again, you're assuming the ontology of God. You're assuming that God has moving parts, that he is making decisions. Therefore, he makes the decision that something must be a certain way, so therefore it's that way. What you're failing to realize is the concept, for example, of divine simplicity, where God has no moving parts. He has no changing features. He simply is. Everything that he desires, everything he ever wanted, just simply was, came into being in a singular moment. And when we're looking at morality, morality is equal to his nature, just like logic is equal to his nature. I don't think Parker Parker would agree that logic can change. And we wouldn't say that logic transcends God. That wouldn't make any sense. We'd say logic is equal to his nature. And because it's equal to his nature, it's part of our reality because God sustains all reality. There's no symmetry breakers in anything I said. You might disagree with it, but this is the Christian belief. And if you're going to critique the Christian worldview, well, again, apply it properly, right? You look at God in his absolute nature. You say, hey, logic is equal to his nature. Then there's no issue with saying that morality is also equal to his nature without saying it's subjective or saying that it transcends him.
Is
God
also
is
compatible
morality.
with moral anti-realism.
So let's go back to the Ten Commandments.
You don't understand
right?
metaethics.
Well, hold on a second.
What does subjective morality mean? What does it mean?
Subjective morality
Define
means
it.
that it comes in everybody's own opinion, their own form,
True
not
dependent upon a
objective.
stance.
Again,
God is a stance, and that's the truth
hold on
of
a second.
morality.
So if let's believe. Do you believe in the? If everybody
Take a shot every time Parker mentions God.
believed in the concept of God, the transcendent God, that there was a Ten Commandments and we should live by them, right? Is that objective morality?
No. Just because people agree doesn't make it
okay,
objective.
then what?
Again, independent of a
then
stance.
What is
Agreeance is not independent of a stance.
What is objective morality then? Sorry, thanks. We'll be back at it next time.
Mason, good to meet
How are you? Nice to meet you. Okay.
So I think it's a little scummy that you're plagiarizing the whole Matt Walsh thing. Like your
Dude,
thing is
I
the
pay him
worship of Israel and everything like that.
I pay him
like,
royalties.
Okay, for sure. Well, do you want to talk about sex first, or do you want to talk about gender?
I don't think gender exists. I think it's a term that John Money and Judith Butler created over the last 40 years that basically is a filler for personalities.
Actually, here's an interesting fact. Right up into the 1970s, the word gender and sex was synonymous. Like, there was no different, right? It was only after the 70s, and he might be right about the John Money thing. I don't know about that. It was only after that we started seeing a separation between the two words. Gender started getting its own definitions.
Okay, well, if we're talking about sex, which it seems like you're saying is the exact same thing, would you say sex is binary by definition?
For sure, yes, absolutely.
Okay, so you're
And
already
they're-
incorrect. Like, sex is not binary, it's bimodal. So if we look at a distribution graph, we're going to see people in two camps majority of the time, but there are going to be
but
externalities on both ends of the spectrum and in the middle.
For example, like
so we already
intersex,
talked about
right.
intersex. Correct.
However, with intersex, though, they are mutations of a binary, correct?
No, we're talking about.
Hold on.
They are, though. Right, intersex people, they're not in the middle. They're usually, again, they're ordered to one state, right? Either the masculine state or the feminine state. And there is some sort of mutation that happens because of the extra chromosome. And therefore there's a change, but there's no change in sex. They're still ordered to a specific design. They're either ordered to impregnation or ordered to impregnate.
But
we're talking about an entire spectrum.
Which sex
you're
organ
by
is
definition
dominant, though?
defeating your expression of what a binary is by saying that there are externalities.
But let me ask you a question. That like XXY.
Charlie,
for example,
you're trying to create this own box and then use any examples that are outside of that
No, but
box
you brought up
to justify that box again.
You brought up intersex.
We're talking about reality.
You brought up intersex.
Okay.
What sex organs? Which one is more dominant?
What do you mean?
In an XXY situation.
Can you explain your point of view?
Yeah, I
on
mean,
that?
obviously you have more female characteristics and male characteristics in an XXY, or it might be YYX. One of the two. The point is that you do not have both.
We could see people with female reproductive organs that have XY, and we can see the vice versa, people with male reproductive organs that have XX.
So I think you said something about gender, though. I think that's more interesting to get into.
Okay,
Do you understand how the conversation?
So we're moving off of sex because you're ceding that argument.
No, I'm not ceding it.
Okay.
You want to keep going into it?
We can if you'd like.
Okay, so besides male and female, what categories exist?
We have people that are intersex. We have people that are on the other ends of the bimodal distribution
Like-
graph. Are you aware what bimodal means versus binary?
It's so condescending. Like, here's something I got to give props to Charlie Kirk in this entire conversation. I don't think he's been firm. He's been like a little snarky in a few places, but he never talked like down to people. Right? I never got the vibe that he was like looking down on them, being like, "You're an idiot. You're a moron." He's more like, "This is the truth, and I want you to feel it and understand it."
Somewhat of an understanding. Yeah.
Okay, well,
So
you
I'm-
can
I'm-
be presented with a graph after this by the people that you brought with you, but it's actually a bimodal
So
distribution.
just like constantly going to condescending type talk is not going to be fruitful.
I'm just
here,
trying to match
but,
your
like,
energy with the people that you treated that were trying to have a conversation.
She wasn't like. Here's the thing. You pointed at her. Hold on.
I'm just trying to match your energy
Match
with
your
the people that you
energy.
treated that were trying.
Her. Now, again, they might have edited this. Might not be her reacting specifically to this. We never know how edits go. But if this is her reacting to this specific moment, like, come on, guys. Like, she came in hostile, right? You guys just don't like this guy. You disagree with him. And so therefore you just assume he's some sort of villain. And the reality is he's wanting to meet you at your table. And I disagree with a lot of what he said. So it's not even about the fact that I align with his viewpoints and he's Christian and I got my brother. It's just what we're seeing.
Trying to have a conversation.
Got it. So trans women are not women. Do you agree with that?
I would say that trans women are women because people that exist under the category of women, people that exist under the category of men are still humans.
Got it. So that category, how is that defined?
Well, I wouldn't limit it to things like genitals or things like chromosomes, which it seems like you want to do. What type of genitals would you say I have since you're so obsessed with genitals?
I'm not obsessed with genitals, but I could do a blood sampling right now and I could see exactly what you are because every single one of your trillions of...
And this is something I seen actually Destiny talk about earlier today. I was listening to one of his lives while I was getting ready for work because he talks about the fact that you can't observe it. You can't know from observation, which I think is just a terrible argument because you could say the same thing about like water and pure water, right? Or water and like certain types of there's other types of liquids that are pretty much just look like water, but it's not good for you, right? And just pure observation of that does not mean that, well, it could just be either or, right? If you look at its genetic makeup, it's going to have those properties that make either water or whatever else it is. So for example, what are the antifreeze, right? Dogs will go drink antifreeze a lot because they assume it's some sort of juice, right? And this is even with young kids, they assume it's some sort of juice. So on the surface level, you can look at antifreeze, you can smell antifreeze, and you could assume juice. You'd be like, this is juice. This is a Kool-Aid. Now this might be a bad example, but I feel like people get my rhetorical goal with what I'm saying. Surface level impression does not give us a description of an ontology by any means. And sometimes it does require digging a little bit deeper. So saying just because you can't see it on the surface means it could be any which way is completely wrong.
Cells are either coded with XX or XY, no matter how much surgery or whatever. I think that you are a man, but you could fool me. You could take hormones, you could play camouflage. Like I could fool you to be Hispanic if I had the right Hollywood makeup director. That doesn't mean that you are the thing though.
But you're going from an objective biological perspective, which we've already talked about with sex. I'm talking about a social construct or a social utility.
Yeah, so
like if we were at a restaurant, right? I'm sitting down you're a man. And I'm sitting down at the table and you're telling the waiter, hey, I want to go sit with blank. What would you use?
With you?
He doesn't know my name. Yeah.
Well,
so I'm sitting over there.
That guy.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
That guy. You're going to typically use he or him, or you're going to say that guy, like you just said.
Correct.
Because you're ascribing the male gender to me based on my performative characteristics.
I say I could be an error. Maybe you are a biological woman.
And then you'd correct yourself, right?
Maybe not.
So that's what that is exactly what we're trying to say.
So the question is that, do you think that womanhood can then be assumed just through costume design?
It's not costume design.
What is it then?
It's performative social characteristics.
But what are you performing as? When you're choosing a performance, there's a fly on my computer. When you're making a performance, you're assuming a role. What is the role you're assuming? This is the question that no one can answer.
You could act
that's what gender is.
Okay,
great
got
job.
it. So you could, it's like a theater troupe.
It's not a theater troupe. These are social.
So womanhood
categories.
can be appropriated.
No, they're categories. That's what it is.
So there's nothing inherent about the chromosomes. There's nothing that...
Correct, yes.
Wow, we disagree. So there's nothing inherent about having a period or being able to give birth or the specific hormonal makeup.
In different cultures, we've ascribed that to womanhood. If you go back to other cultures spanning thousands of years,
for sure.
You'll see a difference when it comes to those
Like, for example, the Mayans had plenty of people that were schizophrenic, right? So that means nothing to me, right?
Okay,
so,
we have people that say they're hearing things from God. Would you say that's schizophrenic?
Well, not necessarily. It built Western civilization and common law and due process and individual rights.
I just wanted to hear that your
defense of the unborn and the greatest civilization ever. You know, that voice from God happened to build the greatest nation ever to exist in the history of the world. That's
okay.
fine.
I think the Mayans would say the same thing. That's the problem with presuppositional
Mic drop.
arguments.
Yeah, let's go down.
Is that you could say anything.
Can we go visit?
I mean, God's telling me right now that you're a
nation?
fish. Do you think that's real?
Can we go visit the Mayan nation? They didn't last that long.
Yeah, over killing and violence, and you can justify that if you like.
You mean all the child sacrifice?
And this is the condescending tone that why I'm trying to match it is because
you mean all the child sacrifice the Aztecs, Mayans, and Incans did on the top.
He's right. He's being a little condescending now, but bro, you're the one who came in hot first.
The temples, great civilization.
Do you want to go back into the Old Testament? Let's bring Parker up in here and talk about all the child marriage.
I don't think Parker's read the Old Testament. From what I've seen, I could be wrong. I just don't think he has.
We can talk about the justification of rape.
Where was child sacrifice ever in the Bible?
When Isaac was almost fucking sacrificed by his dad.
He wasn't though, because at the beginning of Genesis,
so God just said,
the whole point of that, oh my gosh, the whole point of Abraham sacrificing Isaac was to show that he is not like the other gods, because this was a common practice, like the act of Malak, right? Malak being a pagan god. Some scholars argue that Malak not only was not a pagan god, but that was an act of sacrifice. So when you see Malak in the Bible, it's talking about just child sacrifice in general. I disagree with that interpretation. I take the other half of what the scholars say, where Malak, and this is the consensus, he was a pagan god and he actively received pagan sacrifice. So did Baal. So when Isaac commands Abraham to sacrifice his son, Abraham just does it without question. And no one goes, well, why would he do that? Like, well, lots of people go, well, why would he do that? Well, here's why, because that was part of the social norm. Sacrificing your child back then was just the normative. It happened all the time. So Abram was like, okay, I don't like it, but hey, other gods do it. You're commanding it. And then what does he go up? He says, you're not going to do that. I'm going to offer the sacrifice instead. But the whole rhetorical goal of that story was to say that I am not like these other gods. I will provide the sacrifice and you will not have to do it. Right? So saying that, oh yeah, he accepted. No, he didn't. Somebody's going to add Dan McClellan because he thinks he did.
Said like, nah, just kidding, dog.
Yeah,
Don't actually kill your son.
Because at the beginning of Genesis 16 said, I'm going to test
to prove
Abraham.
Obedience. Yes,
yeah, that's
correct.
right. So now you know it. So actually, there was no child sacrifice in the Bible. It was a prohibition on child sacrifice in the Bible. But anyway,
Gotcha.
that's a little bit of a rabbit hole. Do you understand at least? Can you sympathize with our perspective?
Okay.
That
I'll calm it down a little bit. I apologize for the condescension.
No, it's fine. I mean, but you're doing it's fine. But like, did you see where this could get wildly out of control? At least on the extreme.
I don't see how it would get out of control because
even in sports, for example, you think that there's no.
So this is something that we might be able to agree upon, right? Sports were not archaeologically dug up, right? The rules of sports, they are things that we've created as a society. We have decided as a society the most fair categorization is male sports and female sports. Now, as we've been able to understand, or at least bring into the forefront, people who don't identify with the binary, we still have to allow all people that are women in the women's category and all men that are men in the women's category. That includes cis and trans. If you'd like to change that category because you think it's
so much anger in my blood right now for that comment. Here's the thing that's just real, whether people like to admit it or not. People who are ordered, right, male, and people who are ordered female are so astronomically different in sports, it's not even funny. Like, and I know this because, again, me and my wife both do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We both compete at the same level. We both have the same rank in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And technically, she's more experienced than me. She's done far more competitions. She's got more gold medals than I can count. I don't even have a gold medal. I've never placed first in any tournament I've done, right? And she's been invited to events where she was competing for belts. When her and I roll, like when we compete against each other, it's not even close. And it's not because I'm better. It's because I'm a man. It's because I can throw her with one arm. And she's not a small woman. Like, she's 5'11", and she's an athlete. And she works out more than I do. She gets up every morning, 5 a.m., works out. For most of her life. I only started recently doing that. And I don't get up at 5 a.m. I get up at noon. It's just, there's no comparison. We are different. You cannot allow men and women to compete in the same sports. It's just unjust. It's monstrous. If I went to a tournament and I found out my wife was going to compete against a man, a biological man, I don't know what I would do. I might throw hands. Because that is a detriment to her safety, and it also puts a huge barrier between her and her goals that she's trying to achieve in life. That's just the reality of the world, and it's people who do not compete in sports that talk about this. They're the ones that sit there and go, "Hey, we should just let him compete." Right? You wouldn't say, who's his name? The bike guy. He said he's a genetic phenom, so he does a lot better than, there's genetic phenoms in the world. You wouldn't say they couldn't compete because they're a genetic phenom and they have higher testosterone. The gap is far bigger, right? It's like the equivalent of, you take the best man in the world in UFC and put him against the best. We saw it. Gabby Garcia versus Craig Jones. Craig Jones is not even the best in the world. Gabby Garcia is one of the best women jiu-jitsu practitioners in the world. She is bigger than Craig Jones. like a large amount bigger than Craig Jones, and one of the best in the world in jiu-jitsu. And in the female bracket, they rolled. They had an open battle. Craig Jones played with her, like it wasn't even a challenge. He could have broke her leg. He could have broke her arm a bunch of times, and then he just let go and kept moving. It wasn't even close. Sorry, this is like a subject for me.
Unfair. We can do that. That's what's awesome about arbitrary rules is we can decide hormones.
I might not know this, but like when the Greeks started the Olympics 2,000 years ago, did they have like a bunch of dudes wrestling with women?
I don't even think they allowed women to compete.
Well,
I might be wrong on that,
but that kind of proves the point, though, that there was a...
Yeah, and what did we do to allow women? We changed the rules.
Right, no, but that, by definition, therefore, there is something from body composition, bone mass, lung density...
It doesn't mean that there aren't some brute women out there that can beat... Absolutely, there's women out there that can beat men, but the thing is, those women that are beating men are like some of the best of the best, and those men are like the worst of the worst. But you can't take the best of the best woman against the best of the best man and think it's going to be an even playing field. It's not going to happen.
Testosterone and estrogen rates,
Yeah.
or endocrinology is
So
different.
if you'd say the majority of males in the bimodal distribution graph, we're going back to that, you can say, hey, we want this level of hormones in this particular category, and we can separate it by hormones. I agree with you that a majority of men or majority of cis men
majority. You got to be like 99.9%.
I don't know. Ronda Rousey could kick my ass. I will say that.
No, for sure. But
Okay.
I mean,
But you don't compete. You're not in mixed martial arts. Here's the thing. Ronda Rousey would kick your ass. But if you went and trained in mixed martial arts for 5 years, she's not. She's not. And she was one of the best in the world.
But could she kick Conor McGregor's ass?
Well, now we're talking about the peaks,
No.
right?
No, but she's at the
of
peak, though.
cisgender.
No, because you're talking about the peaks of two different categories in the same sort of...
Right, because why? She's a cis woman.
Well, she's a cis woman and
Correct.
he's...
A cis man.
But yes, and
Correct.
he could kick her tail, right?
Yes, I would agree.
Oh, okay, for sure, right?
Because cis men and cis women have different hormone levels.
No,
if you want to change the hormones, we can change the category.
You give Ronda Rousey a whole bunch of tests, get her test level up, and then put her against Conor McGregor without any test. It's still not going to be close. Conor McGregor is still going to win that fight.
But you're saying that you want men and women, bar none, and you say that's the most fair category. Then we have to allow all women and all men.
Well, but again, those things don't. So I just want to be clear. So because I think I'm tracking your argument, is that in the University of Pennsylvania swim team, when Thomas swam against biological women, you're perfectly fine with that.
I think as long as we have the categories that way.
Thanks.
Good to meet you.
Yeah. I want to get him in. He hasn't debated yet. No, you're fine. You're fine. Here. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Preeti. Nice to meet
Brittany,
you.
nice to meet you. Go ahead.
Preeti.
Preeti,
P-R-E-E-T.
I'm sorry.
You're totally
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I kind of want to go back to a little earlier. You said that Parker has lower T than you. So would you say?
It's all a joke.
Yeah. No.
think I'm right,
I'm fully aware it's a joke. But I guess on that point,
Yeah.
do you think that T has to do, or testosterone has to do with your manhood?
No. Well, yes and no. I mean.
Yeah. There's a definitely. I'm on Twitch right now because I got banned off YouTube. There's definitely a connection with test and masculinity for sure.
If you are looking at typical testosterone estrogen rates of women, they are far different than those of men. But
Right,
for
but,
example, your testosterone rate goes down when you have children. For
Okay,
example,
but
when you're a man, that doesn't make you less of a man. They go down by about 400 points.
Okay, but
Oh man, I don't have kids now.
when we were talking earlier about sports, right?
Mhm.
And you were saying that the reason why it's unfair for for example, a trans woman who used to be a man to be competing in women's sports. You cited that they have higher testosterone levels.
One
correct?
of about 50 characteristics. Also lung density. Men's hearts are bigger.
Okay.
We have greater bone
those-
density, muscle.
Our Twitch muscles are quicker. Our hip bones are smaller. We have a higher base of gravity, right? We are heavier in the chest than women. Women have a lower base of gravity. There's a whole bunch of things that make us different.
Muscle mass.
Okay,
Tend
but
to be faster. Tend to be stronger.
I understand. But those factors all come from the hormones during the development process, correct?
No, not necessarily.
No.
I mean, most of them do.
Well, not all.
Your bone structure is pretty much going to be what you are despite your hormones.
So, for example, you could try to pump a young girl's body with testosterone at 8 years old, and you can get them stronger. You cannot necessarily get them on par with a biological male at puberty. You cannot. You could try.
Twitch is off? No, I'm still live on Twitch. Don't scare me like that, bro. Yeah, the link's still working. Don't come in like that. Don't do that to me.
Okay, but like,
because there's something in the coding of our genetics.
Right, the coding of our genetics, which is often like controlled by like different, like, I guess, parts of our DNA and also the hormones that are produced that affect the effective coding of how
we're more than
you're
endocrinology,
produced.
but it's a big part. Because, for example, if you just give a kid testosterone, that doesn't even get them close to becoming a male or
Parker
estrogen
left. I
giving
can put the
female.
speed back up.
They might get characteristics that are close to that.
Right. Okay.
But it doesn't. For
But I
example-
mean,
but let me-
like, there's no perfect image of like this is what a female looks like. This is what a male looks
No,
like.
but
Like we
for
all get our
example-
periods at different ages. Some of us like, and also like for example, like there are many circumstances where womanhood is just not one thing, right? It's a multitude of experiences
for
that
sure.
every single
Can
person.
you define what womanhood is? That's an interesting question for you.
Well, no, I can't define what womanhood is, and the reason why is because it's something
But why not? If it's a multitude of things that incorporate making you a woman, why can't we define it? Why can nobody define it?
that's an individual experience for every single person, right? Like my experiences, what I
Okay, you know what? My experience as a woman was, growing up with getting facial hair, nose hair growing too much, getting butt hair and leg hair and arm hair, getting more muscle, getting made fun of by the girls for not being handsome enough. That's my experience as a woman. That's what makes me a woman, I guess.
I have experienced throughout my life is not going to be the same as another woman who may have grown up in a different
We have
environment.
disagreement, but not clarity. I say that being a woman or womanhood is an objective thing.
Right, but
It's objective outside of one's own opinions or experiences.
So, but are we at the point where we're discussing where this is like not something based on your chromosomes, but something maybe based on a construct?
Well, no, it also can be objectively witnessed in empirical ways, in biological ways, in scientific ways.
Okay, so to clarify, we're still discussing whether womanhood is on chromosomes or not.
If you'd like to discuss that, it's deeper
Like-
than just chromosomes.
right, I'm just trying to, like, define exactly
For example,
where
if we
this
look at
debate's
SPEC scans or brain scans of men and women, 98% of the time, artificial intelligence can tell you which one is the men and which one is the male.
That's good, but here's actually where that's kind of a bad take. Sometimes brain scans can actually tell you if you're a criminal or not a criminal. Our brains will associate with what we're like ordered in. So if we hang out and do masculine things all the time, then our brain's going to be more masculine, and vice versa. So it might not be the best methodology to use to determine whether somebody's sex is one way or the other.
Female.
Okay.
So our different parts of our brains fire. So
Okay,
for
so-
men, for example, our amygdalas are not as high working as women. You know, amygdala is the threat assessment part. of
So
your brain.
obviously, like,
Well, okay, that's a different point. That actually might be a good point to bring up. I didn't think of that.
your birth, so there's a difference between the concept of what sex is, which is a biological aspect, and what gender is, which is a social construct,
I
right?
reject gender completely as a different word. It's really
Okay, so
personality.
that's where the debate is.
Yes.
It's the existence of gender.
Gender means personality.
Okay.
I don't doubt that biological men might
how
have
would you
feminine
how would
type
you define
characteristics.
race on that point?
How would I define
How would you define race?
Well, race is a very difficult topic.
Okay, because I think that it's a really important thing to discuss when it comes
here's
to
the thing,
terms of
if
this.
I draw
because
if I draw blood, if
is
there
it ethnic lines?
If
Is
you,
it
if you have a blood sample of a black individual and a white individual, I can't tell you which one is which. If I have a blood sample of a man and a woman, I can tell you which one is which, just by running very simple elementary blood tests. So, for example, if there was a Hispanic or a white, there is no difference in
why
the genetic
is it?
coding. There just isn't.
why
We
is
don't
it
see-
important that someone's okay.
All right. Who really wants to go? I don't want to pick on. I don't want to pick on somebody who doesn't want to get picked. Okay. You want to debate?
Wait, what is topic?
Whatever you want. So you're the affirmative on the negative.
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
You're good with 10 minutes. I don't want to put you in a spot you don't want to be in.
Oh, this would be good.
You sure? Okay.
This will be good.
Okay, I guess the claim I'm making is that affirmative action is constitutional.
Tell me about your claim.
I wanted to talk about affirmative action because we haven't really gotten to it, and it's recently been revoked.
I don't know what affirmative action is. I know nothing about American politics, guys.
Based on the new Supreme Court ruling. And I firmly believe that affirmative action is constitutional and is a right that certain American citizens deserve. And I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, the 14th Amendment allows for equal protection regardless of race, and it's a colorblind amendment. And the whole idea of affirmative action is to try to give people extra boost based on their skin color or their racial background, which by
Oh yeah, I've heard of this stuff. This is nonsense.
definition cuts underneath the idea of equal protection.
Okay. So do you know why the 14th Amendment was founded and the Equal Protection and Equal Rights Act
Yeah, the 14th
exists?
Amendment was a post-Civil War amendment. 14,
Yes.
15, 16, 17 were all during Reconstruction.
So what was it in response to?
Slavery.
Oh, and who were slaves?
Well, that's an important point. So
Well, what time do you want to go into? Well, early America, it was the black people were slaves, you know. If you want to go to like late America, it was the First Nations, but it was the First Nations having other First Nations as slaves. You know, if you want to go over to like ancient Greece, right? They had all sorts of people as slaves. It didn't matter what your skin color was. Same with Rome. Everybody in the ancient Near East, they all had slaves. Again, had nothing to do with your race. You could have been white, black, yellow, pink. It didn't matter. They picked anyone. So which time are we talking about?
Do you think affirmative action will help heal the multi-generational problems of slavery?
I do. I really do.
Okay.
Because, so let's just talk about the history for a second. Slavery begins in the early 1800s.
Earlier.
No,
Slavery?
1816 is the beginning of slavery.
1619.
Oh, yeah, I guess we'll be. Okay, first slaves come in
I don't know, but just like, it's just, okay.
1619. Doesn't end until 1800s.
1880s.
Then we go into Jim Crow laws starting in 1877, and black people are not given equal rights until officially 1965. Would you agree with that?
That's generally the correct telling.
Yeah, so, you know, 1960s,
It's pretty wild, though.
1970s.
But just so we're clear that black Americans were able to serve in office in the early 1900s. They were able to vote throughout the 1900s. But yes, there were poll taxes, there was Jim Crow laws, there was segregation. Of course there was, and we get to be delusional not to acknowledge those things.
Okay, so we can acknowledge all of those things. Can we also acknowledge, due to the laws under Jim Crow, that black people were significantly hindered from economic
Got it.
advancement?
This is a really important question. The data shows not really.
Really? I don't agree with that. I think because 1965 is not that long ago. So if you got family members that weren't allowed to operate like how everybody operates, there's going to be like some generational downfall. That just seems intuitive to me. I haven't looked at the data, so maybe I'm wrong.
It was evil. It was terrible. But black Americans are poorer today in 2024 than they were in the 1950s.
Yes. Why
Well, everybody's poorer today.
do you think that
Good
is?
question. So we have the Civil Rights Act, we have more benefits, more government programs. Something changed between the 1950s and 2024. So there's two answers to this question. Either America got more racist since 1950s to 2024, so like that 70-year period, because black Americans are worse off today per capita
Yeah,
than
I would
they
agree
were.
with
You
this.
agree with that? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Than in the 1950s. Or there's another explanation, and I think the truth is somewhere in the middle, which is I think you would acknowledge that the disappearance of the black father has been the number one driver of black poverty in this country. Now, there are reasons.
I think that's a huge factor. I don't know what the cause is, but obviously homes without fatherhoods, it's like undeniable, the data on that. Like when you don't have a father in your home, you're more likely to end up in prison. You're more likely to be involved in violent crime. Like, you know, just take a look at like sex work, for example. Find me a sex worker that has a phenomenal relationship with their father. And I don't think anybody would say that being involved in sex work is a net positive. Well, some people would, but they're weirdos.
Reasons for that we could.
What do you think the reasons for that are?
Well, culture is one. Would you agree?
So actually, let's go
And
back to the
you can say
foundations
school
of
to
that
prison
culture.
pipeline, all that stuff. But can we at least agree that black dads not being around is a bad thing?
Anyone's father not being around is a bad
No,
thing.
of course,
not
but
specifically.
75% of black youth are not raised with a father in the home. It's the
Is
highest
that,
of any.
is that
group.
true? That's crazy.
It used to be 25% in the 1950s, so it's gone up dramatically in 70 years.
Okay, so you are blaming the fact that black people have not been able to achieve economic equality and
Or even
advancement in
progress.
this
It's 'cause
country,
they've had decrease.
specifically and solely
Not
because
solely.
of the absence
Not
of black
solely.
parents.
It is the.
That would be a huge factor. Again, I don't know anything about this, but just in general, like not having a 2-parent household is going to set you up to have a tougher life. And if the data says that, you know, black people, generally speaking, don't have a 2-parent household, it's going to make life more challenging for sure. Like, I don't understand why that's a contention.
The most primary ingredient reason. It's the
So
most
you think
primary.
it's the absence of black fathers?
Correct.
And you think what else?
Public sector teacher unions that have kept these schools crummy and kids aren't reading and teachers keep getting paid. We don't fire bad teachers. That's a big thing.
That's a huge thing. And that's something that my wife knows firsthand because she works in the school system and she gets to see terrible teachers keep their jobs because of the unions that they're involved in. You'd have to light a kid on fire to get fired as a teacher nowadays.
Okay.
And even then you might not.
War on police in our inner cities and not having enough police and not actually locking up criminals. Hear me out. For example, in Chicago, do you know that only half of all murders go solved in the city of Chicago?
That doesn't surprise me at all.
That's a problem, right?
That is a problem.
Yeah. So we need more police, more detectives to solve those murders. But I want to hear your points too. I'm talking too much.
So let's go back a little bit to what you said in the issue of policing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, starting in the 1980s and continuing onward, there's been a war on drugs. Is this correct?
I like the war on drugs.
You like the war on
I like the war on drugs too.
drugs. So during the war on drugs, it created an epidemic of mass incarceration, specifically.
Now, here's the thing. The problem with the war on drugs is there was a huge thing of like people getting arrested and thrown in jail for like their whole lives over like the green stuff, and that's pretty messed up. That should not have happened.
Hold on, only if you're using drugs.
No.
Or peddling drugs. If you don't use drugs, then you don't go to jail, right?
So you believe that the criminal justice system is flawless?
No, I never said flawless. There's a lot of people in jail that shouldn't be in jail. There's a lot of problems in any system.
Okay, so wait, let's pause on that. So you believe that a lot of people who have gone to jail shouldn't be in jail? A small percent. What percent would you say?
5%?
You would say only 5%.
Correct. When you have...
Well, it depends on how you define that, right? If you say that there are people who are in jail who are innocent, probably about 5%, sure. But if you're saying there's people in jail who shouldn't be in jail because the law shouldn't be illegal to do that thing, probably a lot higher. So we have to be clear on those definitions, because it's probably way more that like people are in jail for breaking a law where that law shouldn't have really been there in the first place.
A system of justice, you're going to have scummy prosecutors, you're going to have bad defense attorneys.
I have a question. Can I get a Google? What percentage of people currently incarcerated are black?
It's way larger than
Well, it's hold on.
It's what?
Hold on. No, I know, but the fact I'm saying
You're not involved in the debate.
5%. Hold on.
So that's the point that I'm trying to make. Exactly.
Who am I debating? Am I debating here?
Your own government is pumping drugs.
Yeah. So
okay. So I want to make a quick
You're
point.
right. Black Americans are in prison far greater than the percentage of the population. So Black Americans are about 13 to 14% of the population.
Yes,
about half of all prisoners are black.
Exactly.
So blacks
That's
commit
crazy.
more crimes than whites do. They commit more murders. They commit more arsons. They commit more kidnappings. For example.
I'm scared to say anything right now. But here's the thing. Either it's one of the two. Either they are committing more crimes, or they're just being arrested for being black. I don't know. I don't live in the States. Could be one or the other. Both is a terrible thing. Both is a horrendous thing. And it should be solved. But the people's reaction here is, what does the data say? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I'm not just dodging here. I haven't looked into this. It's not my thing.
Well, blacks are 13% of the population, and they commit 58% of all the murders. That's not a war on drugs. That's a culture problem.
Okay, so let's talk about that culture. Black people have been legislatively subjugated up until 1965. I'll give it, honestly, it's later, but let's just say 1965. You do not think that 10 generations of legislative subjugation and slavery during that time, 4,000 black men, women, and children are lynched as the result of race riots in this country? You do not think that these things have a lasting effect? We have had 10 generations of subjugation and 4 of legislative freedom.
Of course they have an impact, but it's more on you to explain why things got worse since the Civil Rights Act. More violent, less fathers around, poorer. Why is that? So,
because of mass incarceration and the unfair criminalization of black men.
But let's just take murders, for example. Why blacks are 13% of the population and commit 58% of the murders? Why is that?
Because people in affluent and whiter neighborhoods are not being policed at the same rate. There are more police.
I'm talking about dead bodies. There's no we're not talking about policing. We're talking about murders. Why are
this is a rough one to wrestle with, because if what she's saying is true, then you have to say that they're just letting white people get away with murder, and I don't think that's the case. I just don't see that happening. Now I could see other crimes happening for sure. I could see them, because if he's pinpointing on murder, I don't see them letting that slide. Maybe lesser sentences, but just letting it go, right? Being involved, because I think he's just talking about the statistic of like people being involved in a murder case, not what the outcome was. So that'd be a hard one to brush under. Maybe like things like aggravated assault or breaking and entering, things like that. I could see people letting that slide because, oh, you look like me. That could happen. Sure. Do I think it's happening? Probably not. But I don't know. I don't live there.
Are so many blacks committing murders outside of their population?
Okay, let's take it back to some history.
I'm curious for an answer to that question.
I'm going to give you one. So let's go to redlining. Okay, redlining.
Redlining
yes.
is why so many blacks are killing each other?
No, let me finish my claim.
Okay.
And then you can respond. Is that okay? Okay, so redlining, federally mandated or sustained by the FHA, right? Separating black Americans to specifically impoverished and relegated areas of the country. We are incapable of buying homes and putting equity into neighborhoods with lower crime rates and better educational systems. We do not have access to things that would uplift and help our community. When you are put in an environment that promotes and reinforces social and economic inequality, you become desperate and are forced to do things that maybe don't align with your values.
What you're making an excuse for
now, when you have
a lot of stealing.
In this situation, I'm like, I kind of agree with what both are saying. People are set up and they're put in situations to fail, and then we're shocked that they fail. And he's just like, well, you're making excuses for them murdering. Well, yeah, they shouldn't murder, and there's never a good reason for that, and there should be consequences for that. But when people are put in tough scenarios, people react harshly. That's just human nature.
High concentration of a subjugated people in one area.
If you were right, when blacks in America did not have the same rights they had today, they were less murderous, there was less break-ins. Why is that?
So I'm sorry, are you trying to say that blacks thrive under subjugation?
It's a good point, Antimatters. I don't know.
I'm asking you the question. The data shows they were actually better in the 1940s. It was bad. It was evil.
I'm not justifying sin. I'm just saying we shouldn't be shocked. I said it's wrong. I'm just saying when people act animalistically because they're in an animalistic environment, why are we surprised?
But what happened? Something changed. They committed less crimes.
Maybe they were afraid. I mean, 4,000 black men, women, and children were killed in violent lynch mobs.
That's your explanation. But
racial terror permeated American culture for hundreds of years.
Black America is worse than it has been
that affected
in the last 80 years.
The generational psyche of an entire group of people?
No, I'm sure it did. I'm not discounting that. I'm just trying to understand, why is it the more social welfare we've done? So we've spent $20 trillion on uplifting black communities, $20 trillion in black America.
That's crazy. 20 trillion? What?
They're poor. We've done everything that's been asked.
You haven't done everything that's been asked, though.
Great society,
because what is being
stamps,
asked?
Subsidized housing, Medicaid, public schooling, subsidized college. We're talking about $20 trillion that's been spent on the Great Society. And yet black America is poorer, more murderous, more dangerous. So there's an explanation. I'm asking you to
But we are not
explain
asking for handouts. We are asking for equity. And part of equity...
But you can't have equity without a handout. That's the problem there. You can't have one without the other. Equity is a handout. You're asking to be given a handout so you can be in an equal playing field with everyone else.
You mean taking from other people?
Excuse me, it means sharing, which is something that you guys seem to have a very hard time doing.
Sharing. So somebody has to explain why black America, and you haven't, is 13% of the population and commits 58% of the murder.
Black people have built and founded the society.
Thank you.
Is that it? I thought they were going to get into a religious thing. He promised a religious thing at the end.
I was a very smart group, very opinionated. There were a couple other people. I kind of felt bad for them. They had a lot of strong opinions, but they just weren't ready for prime time. Overall, very good group, very impressive.
Republicans tend to just focus on preventing you from arguing your point, not actually countering the points that you come up with.
He often will switch the topic, do a lot.
No, he didn't. He did not often switch the topic. He was on point the whole time, bro.
A lot of gish galloping and kind of filibustering.
He did not gish gallop.
To get people to not be able to make the points that they want to make. And I definitely feel like he did that to me.
Look, Charlie's a talented guy. There's a reason why he spoke at the RNC. He's media trained. He's had conversations like this before. And
I hate that comment, media trained. He's media trained. He's media trained, media trained.
He built a career on dunking on college students. But
that's true. He did build a career in dunking on college students.
For a bunch of liberal students who don't have that same type of media training and who aren't as prepared to be in confrontational formats like this, I thought they did a really good job of articulating their views.
I think they did a great job too.
Yeah, Mason was the smartest kid for sure. Parker needs to calm down. Very smart, but kept on changing the topic. But he's got talent. Very annoying though. Smart but annoying.
Oh, bro. Okay.
Parker definitely gave Charlie a run for his money. Yeah, Parker ate that down.
One girl was very nasty.
He didn't. And here's the thing. I think Dean ate. I think Dino did a wonderful job. I'm not just saying that because I disagree with Parker on a lot of situations. He did not eat. He got his clip, right? He was able to get him in a pinpoint where you guys all were agreeing and went, whoa, yeah. He didn't go into the topic. He stayed on point. Like Charlie stayed on point. So he stayed on point, and because he wouldn't let you switch the topic on him to what you wanted to talk about, people are like, oh, you took the W, right? And that's the MMA debate circuit mentality, right? It's just like, as long as you can get them where they can't get an answer, you get a W.
A very nasty person. She overly personalized it.
I honestly don't regret any of the things I said. The only
yeah, you're pretty nasty.
Thing I would have taken back is I said at the end, as I walked away, I said, I hope your daughter can get away from you. That one was a dig, and that was my bad. But honestly, in the case of her being a 10-year-old pregnant and he won't let her get medical help, that's just wild to me. I can't believe that.
I think the group did very great. It's a very hard environment for people to learn in these types of areas, but I think it's best that people get involved in debate and entertainment as it helps people grow and critically think in our society.
I agree, 100% agree with you, Parker. Why didn't you do that here this time? Why didn't you do that here, man? I've seen you have wonderful conversations with people. I think you could do it. You could have did it here. I think it would have gone a lot further, in my opinion. So I don't know. Let's have a quick look at the comments and see what they have to say, and then we're going to call it a night. Just because you're louder talking over someone else does not mean you are winning the argument. I like people who are respectful and nice. Got voted off in like a minute. It just tells you the type of people in the room. Hey, it's kind of, yeah. I don't care what side you're on. Personal attacks and rude behavior will never do your argument any justice. Yes. Personal attacks, rambling, and injections have no place in a discussion. Yes. Watching people sprint to a chair just to get 20 seconds to articulate a rushed point and get voted off so the next person can speak is such a flawed system. Yes, this was not a good, like, it made for an entertaining video, but this is not a good way to have conversation. The concept of rushing the chair is weird. Yes, I agree. I would like to see the reverse of this as well. 25 conservative young people against one media-ready liberal. That'd be phenomenal. Who would you put? I'd like to see Destiny. 25 conservative. And here's the thing with Jubilee. They have a bad time usually picking conservatives from schools. Things like that. They'll usually pick like some idiots. Get 25 conservatives against Destiny. I would like to see that. Is Destiny liberal? I think so. I think that would be very entertaining. Charlie, you're doing a red herring. Parker, no, I'm not. What is that? Charlie explains red herring. Parker, that's not a red herring. It's true. Personal attacks should not be allowed. This is debate. Even if you don't like someone, telling them that their smile is creepy or that you hope their daughter leaves them is abhorrent. Amen. Amen. This is not getting anywhere. It's like bullying. I can talk faster and louder than you. Like, do you want to hear the other person, or do you just want to be heard? I'm loving these. I'm loving these comments. 25 pro-lifers versus one media-ready pro-choicer. Yeah, that'd be great. They kept voting out the speaker way too early on. Yes, they did. Yeah, because they wanted to talk. The TikTok guy doesn't let him talk and then acts like he won the debate. I love how people start putting up their flags when the person starts agreeing with Charlie. This seriously needs, they had a moderator. Marin was able to make a disrespectful comment. Other people were allowed to get worked up and emotional and argue on the sideline and still be allowed to continue the video. People were not listening, just ready to argue. The series needs an on-site moderator. You need to kick the disrespect to individuals or they should not be allowed to continue the remainder of the video. I disagree. People should be allowed to speak. Just because you don't like the way they're saying it doesn't mean that you just end the video. A debate between Ben Parker and Ben Shapiro would need to be played at 0.25 speed for anyone able to understand. Yep. Just because he's running his mouth 90 miles an hour and not letting Kirk get in a word does not mean he's beating him in a debate. As much as I find Charlie Kirk insufferable, these kids need to learn how to get their points across without becoming emotional. Hey, the girl wishing Charlie's daughter gets away from him is seriously so twisted and out of line. I don't think she understands what she says, but it doesn't excuse her. The one dude who just couldn't stop bringing up religion. That's what I'm saying, bro. That one dude who just couldn't stop bringing up religion when it had nothing to do with the subject was annoying. He'd make a terrible lawyer. He's in court and the judge is like, so were you at this crime scene at 8:55? And Parker walk up and be like, he's a Christian. We're going to prove that murder is okay in his viewpoint, in his worldview, because of his Christian worldviews. So simply because he's a Christian, we now know he is a murderer because God allows murder. That would be the argument. Oh my God. I'm going to get roasted because like Parker's going to see this. He's going to come at me and like he's got the fan base, but it is what it is. Don't be prideful. Don't be arrogant. Don't be bad faith. Don't be Parker. Again, I respect the guy. I like his channel. I like what he does. It just wasn't a good look. Parker, it's not even me. It's the chat. Parker is a clear example of hubris. He thinks he's smarter than he really is. His arrogance makes him insufferable. I don't think these kids realize how bad it looks to be so emotional. They got very low impulse control. And it's the next one. I'm not even planning this. That Parker guy was easily the most obnoxious one, and I love how these woke students are smiling like they're winning the arguments, when in reality they aren't. Taking over someone and preventing them from making their points or speaking louder is not winning a debate. That TikToker that I've never heard of is so insufferable to listen to. Bro, it's all Parker. Parker, you didn't answer my question. Also, Parker immediately cuts him off when he tries to answer the question, asks for more questions. Parker is the absolute worst type of person to argue with, dude. Interrupting isn't winning an argument. Bro. I'm starting to feel bad now. Like, cause like I know what it feels like when a whole bunch of people come at you online and just talk down about you. It's a shitty feeling. It sucks. It's a really bad feeling. So like I feel for the guy right now. Better luck next time. I hope they can have a conversation in the future, and I think they can really get to the brass tacks of it. But like even the next one, like, is an embodiment of what's wrong with the generation. You're losing the debate. Just pivot to an alternative point that you know can't be proven just so you seem smart while ignoring the initial question you were asked. Then your opponent gives you the grace and plays along with your ignorance. You accuse him of not answering your questions because he won't just say what you want to hear. Charlie, college is a scam. Parker, church is a scam. You can believe church is a scam, but that's not an argument for college not being a scam. All of it, dude. I'm not reading anymore because now I just feel bad. And I just feel like I'm roasting on someone, and I'm not going to do that. Bro, I'm not going to do that.